Oh, very good evening, everybody. Nice to have you company wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia or indeed the world, on the platforms of the Gentleman's Sim Racing Club, across Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Welcome to the Chicago Street Circuit. We don't have a Google map for this one yet. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to the big water fountain in the middle of the bloody thing. Welcome to a new venue for us on a Monday night as we venture into week number 8 of term number 4. And the latest round of the Player One Sim Gear Supercars Championship, of course. Super 2 on the agenda tonight. And looking forward to this third last round of the championship, which, of course, is fraught with danger because of the fact that this is an unknown and it's also a concrete canyon. And even with only a field of 16, expect some form of drama. We're at 10 past 7 in the evening. And because Chicago, like most of the United States, except Arizona, observes that progressive and civilized concept known as daylight saving, what a surprise, it's still daylight. Isn't that bloody beautiful? Now, unfortunately, Jade Taylor just confirming that there's a blackout in Jade's part of the woods, so therefore car 236 won't be on the grid in Super 3 tonight. However, we do have a good field here on this 3.41 kilometre circuit in Chicago. Can we just go back to the track map, please, Adam? Sorry about that. I'm a little bit slow off the start line. 56% humidity, clear conditions. That's status quo until Live Racing gets the old proverbial together and gets the rain server up and about. And we can tell you that we've just updated as we click into the race server now, 7:14 local time. Clock moving as fast as it would in the real world, not twice as fast as it normally does. 20 degrees the on-track temperature, 18 the ambient. So we've got a twilight affair tonight, folks, and we're looking forward to it immensely. Let's have a look at the championship standings as we venture into this round. Have a look at that. Greg Favell, one hand on the title, if he can continue his form. He's 57 points clear of Tim Harris. Stephen Varga is third. Michael Hammond fourth. Jaden Green fifth. Andrew Dutch sixth. And Tim Nicol, Stefan Lawrence and Dave Oliver seem to be in somewhat of a battle there for the lower places in the top 10 there. Positions 7, 8, 9, only 10 points covering them. And the further 8 back to Tony Baker making up the top 10. Grid for the race looks like this. Greg Favell, what a surprise, on pole position. He's almost like the Matt Dench of the supercar circus. Green is starting alongside him. Spriggs and Horton from the second row. Baker and Hunt the third. Nicol and Brooks the fourth. Varga and Buchanan from row 5. Row 6 sees Michael Hammond up alongside Stefan Lawrence, Dane Snadden, Dale Sharp from 7 and 8 is where you'll find Nick Fodiatis and Paul Wood and maybe Dave Oliver from row 9. Bringing up the rear of the field. Only 17 tonight, Liam Banks. Good evening to you. Let's hope quality makes up for quantity. And given that it's a street circuit and given that there's concrete canyons waiting for these guys left, right and centre, I get a feeling that we'll have action aplenty over the course of 25 minutes.
Oh, 100%. These drivers in this series, in these cars, have not let us down all season long, and I don't think they're going to start now. So deep into the season, I'm sure we're going to have an absolute cracker. All it takes is one moment of getting it wrong, one lapse of concentration, one moment of oversteer, and a well-earned podium can turn into a no result. So there's going to be danger all race long.
Off racing, Monday Night Motorsport, away! Couple of cars left behind at the start and contact at the front as they head down towards turn 1. Trouble already. Cars going to the left, cars going to the right, and one in the wall.
Yeah, I believe that's Greg Brooks in the wall there. Looks like he might have been helped around. It was a bit of a cluster to go around the first corner, so I'm sure we're going to replay that once the action subsides. But as you can see, there's too much action to do that now. Two cars here going side by side. The car on the inside is going to yield. The car on the outside definitely had the upper position. There's another crash there between between another two drivers.
I reckon. Oh no! Hammond's turned him around. Look at the damage on the front of the 007. Oh my goodness. Now, Travis Hunt and Dave Oliver might have played the smart card here and started from pit lane. So keep an eye on those guys once this field sorts itself out. They might be the big winners here. Jaden Green's got to the lead, got ahead of Greg Favell. Tony Baker's up 2 spots. Stephen Varga's up 3. Mick Hammond's up 4. Dale Sharp's up 6. Stefan Lawrence and Dane Studden are both up 3 apiece. Keep an eye on the rest of it, though, because I reckon Race Control's got a bit of footage and tape to review after the opening lap.
Yeah, they're going to struggle to find time to go through it all because there's going to be new incidents coming through every minute of every lap of this race because there's just no room for error and all the cars are so bunched up right now. I don't think there's anyone driving alone on this track. There is, however, a couple of larger gaps at the front of this field. You can see the front two have pulled away from the second two, and there's a big gap of about 2.3 seconds from 4th to 5th place, where the rest of the field all is bunched up.
Oh boy, what a start. And now look at Greg Favell. He's got back to the front on Jaden Green. Green, the fastest time of the race, 1:29.38. Those times will come down with the completion of the second lap. And we're heading for, I'd say, 17 laps is good fishing around here. Given it's about... Oh, the big cab entry. Stephen Lawrence clogs the wall. And it was the concrete, not the tyres. So it'll hurt even more. Graham Stewart putting out that... if you want to see what it looks like to drive with an Xbox controller, go to Greg Brooks. Poor bloke. Michael Hammond in 6th place at the moment. And we've got in behind him Dale Sharp and Dayton Snowden. 1:24.0 for Greg Favell. So, okay, let's do the mathematics here. If we're going, if we're saying that 1:30 gets you 16 laps in 24 minutes, you've got to take about 5 seconds off that per lap. So yeah, with that, you're getting a whole extra lap here. So I reckon we'll get 18 now on those numbers, even with the splash and dash. I'd be very surprised if we don't, considering the prospects of a little bit of overtime here. Meanwhile, a couple of cars have already ventured into pit lane, namely Stephen Lawrence and also Tim Nicol. Whether they've now got to do an extra splash and dash at the end here remains to be seen. Considering Adam Lavis, as we welcome you for the first time tonight, I just get the feeling that doing this early, pace makes a rod for your own back.
You got to go a few laps on your belt. Like, you get about 5-10 minutes in the race and the pit window opens. So you just got to try and, if you get the meatball, and because you've got 3 laps to serve that, so sometimes if it is drivable, sometimes it's all right, like what some of the guys doing, to try and stretch it, and then you're going to do the one stop and minimise the pain.
Banksy, it looks as though we're going to have a fairly spread out field here. I mean, let's have a look at some replays from the start. And Greg Brooks, well, he ended up being a battering stick here. There he is, pinyated around into the wall. Got a cloud on the side and a cloud in the front.
Yeah, somebody was always going to be a victim going through the first corner, and it was just unlucky that it was Greg Brooks. I don't think he did a lot wrong. He was just qualified in the mid-pack, was trying to hold his place in that mid-pack, and was the victim. And that's Nick Ferdialis losing it on his own. Looked like the rear's just locked up on corner entry. I think we've seen that a few times. That's Tim Nicol getting watch me in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Bang.
Oh,
and that was a bizarre incident.
It looked like he was trying to pull over.
We probably need another look at Nicol because, yeah, I don't think Hammond's completely at fault there, just based on how slowly that car was coming out of the corner. And it may or may not have checked Hammond up. Let's have a look at this again, and we're riding on board with Michael Hammond. And this was another incident. This might have been another incident, a separate incident. Let's have a look at it. There's the first clout. Okay, so Hammond might have been at fault for the first clout. But then Brooke is on the, was on the brakes. Nicol was on the brakes coming out of that corner. He was on the brakes. You could see it in the shot when he got the clip from Hammond the second time around. He was definitely on the brakes. Good luck, race control. People want to sign up for that tonight. Oh, hello, Josh Zuno. Hello, Jamie Budd. Hello, Lee Williamson. Excellent.
You beat me to it. I was about to say, well, we can read out their names. If we just go there in the Discord. Thank you to everybody that does the race control for the club. It's often a thankless task. You have to deal with some pretty annoying drivers at times. But I think they do a universally good job. I've not heard many people complain about the stewarding in the GSRC, whereas I have seen frequently complaints elsewhere. So doing a really good job no matter who is in the booth. And this is Greg Val, who's also doing a really good job. He's taken the lead from Jaden Green after losing at the start, and now has lost the lead. This is a replay of Mark Horton.
No. And again, Hammond in the thick of it, but unfortunately for Horton, he did that all on his own. And then he got a cloud on the way through. Stefan Lawrence not taking evasive action, just heading straight on.
Yeah, I don't think Horton did a lot wrong there. He'd moved back towards the wall by the time that Lawrence came.
Horton just lit it up. Hammond did well to salvage that, not wreck himself.
He did a very good job there. I think accident avoidance is going to be the number one determinator of how far you go in this race. That and how high up you qualify, so how quickly you're able to get out of the pack. That's Paul just going deep. He's going to reverse back on.
Look at how destroyed. That car's on the verge of being written off.
Yeah, it's not the only one, is it? There's going to be a few rich used car salesmen after this. They're going to have a few bangers to sell. Rich is probably a strong term. They're going to have an excess of stock, shall we say? It's a really interesting spread of lap times at the moment. I'm seeing everything from 1 minute 24 dead for Greg Val, and there's 128 high up the field, and 128 in 6th and 7th place. So 4 seconds off first place, and they're still hanging around 6th and 7th, which just tells you how little your ultimate lap time is going to count around here. It's all about incident avoidance, all about minimizing mistakes, keeping your car on the wall so that it's still got the ultimate lap time. You can drive a second slower than the car's best if your car's still got its peak performance. If you're driving with damage, you can get directly at the car's best. Might be not capable of doing any better of a lap time, and you're still going to be 20% down. So keeping your car damage free, keeping it clean is just the trick to getting a good result now. And I think we're seeing a lot of drivers recognizing that and just calming down a little bit. Although saying that, Will Buchanan decides to go throw it into the wall a little bit, but has got away with that. Has got away with it, no damage at all. So he's a lucky boy, and that is a beautiful look. We should thank Player One Sim Gear for bringing these broadcasts to you all. Great to have them on board as a sponsor in what has been an incredibly successful returning series for the club.
Indeed it has. Now, Greg Favell continues to lead this race. Jaden Green going with him punch for punch here every step of the way. We're nearly 10 minutes in. Geez, that went bloody quick. 0.8 the margin first to second, and then gaps for third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Will Buchanan's under some sort of pressure from Travis Hunt. Everyone else fanned out around this circuit, so that takes one element of danger out of it, in the sense that if you make a mistake, whoa, look at Green lighting it up as we ride on board with him. That was a little bit of showmanship. He must have known we were riding on board with him. Have a look at that. That was magnificent car control, though, because he had those tyres lit up. Graham Stewart pointing out that these are easily the most difficult cars in the sim, so dragging them around here, not going to be easy. But with the cars as spread out as they are, Banksy, now the onus is on the drivers. Instead of potentially getting caught up in somebody else's garbage or getting into an incident, car-to-car contact, now the only way you're going to run into trouble is if you yourself make a mistake on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just look at how Jaden Green is driving this car. He's constantly whacking on opposite lock, say, as he has about his two most solid corners that he's had since he come on board. There it is. He's getting oversteer on corner entry and corner exit. Those rear tyres, just no grip at all. He's floating that car out everywhere. You can watch it when he turns into any corner with it. That's high speed. He's having to correct going in, and then he's also getting his slide on the way out, but he has calmed it down a little bit as I'm speaking. Interesting to note, Greg Favell catching lap traffic in front of him, and that is actually a team member, Mark Horton, that is in front of him. So both driving for Accelerate Sim Racing. So Mark Horton's definitely going to get out of Greg Favell's way. It'll be interesting to see how he treats Jaden Green behind. Although at the moment, Jaden Green's going to need to tighten up a little bit if he wants to catch Greg Favell.
And this is the interesting point as well. In the space of, a lap and a half, that margins fanned out. That's gone from within striking distance to well and truly not. 0.8 of a second becomes 2.4. So whilst ever Greg Favel's got the better handling car, he's in the box seat here. Back to Travis Hunt we go. All over the back of Dane Snadden at the moment, having gapped Will Buchanan. Into pit lane comes Stephen Varga. Stephen Lawrence is all over the back of Dave Oliver as well. Oliver started from pit lane, so we expect him to need another stop. We expect that potentially Stephen Lawrence will need to come in again, as will Tim Nicol. All 16 cars that started are still running. Those that stopped lap 4, maybe they'll be right. Maybe they'll be able to get home. That was after that 5-minute mark. Nick Fodiata should be okay, having stopped on lap 7 just now. Everybody else, so Favel, Green, Baker, Spriggs, Snadden, Hunt, Buchanan, Brooks, and also Oliver, yet to stop. Oh, up and under, Stephen Lawrence. Now he's on the outside for the next corner, but he's managed to cover off Dave Oliver. Job done. Lawrence into 10th, then brushes the wall. Oh boy. Lawrence is hanging it out tonight.
He could not have hit that wall more flush, could he? The car was perfectly parallel to the wall when he hit it. I think that's mitigated damage. That was a bigger hit for David Oliver. Did you hear the thud then? And we've only got the spectators, we've only got the noise very quietly in our ears so that we can hear each other talking really clearly. But you can hear that thud. So that was a hefty whack for Oliver, and I would not be surprised if he's carrying some damage after that. This is Dane Snadden, currently running in 5th place. He's improved his lap times a little bit. He's now down to 1 minute 26. Still running a couple of seconds off the ultimate pace, but up in 5th place. 8 positions gained from his qualifying spot. Just keeping it clean, make sure he tries to optimise his result. Had a bit of a moment on corner exit there. We're going to see a lot of that. A lot of drivers evidently struggling to keep the rear tyres underneath them. I wonder if they're struggling with temperatures as much as just the absolute grunt that these cars contain. Hard to tame when the car's in perfect condition. If they are struggling with rear tyre temperatures as well, it's going to make a bad problem even worse.
This could be a jinx or it might not be, but he's also one of the only cars at the moment that hasn't got a scratch on it. Which is even more rare because he's got a new sticker on the bonnet because he's got spray and solder on board.
Watch out. Adam Lavis might have just ignited the first commentator's curse of the night.
Yeah, he has, and Sprayton Insiders offer a range of non-alcoholic beverages for your consumption. Getting more and more popular, the non-alcoholic beverages, if that makes sense. Yeah, hopefully you can find them where you are in your part of the world and give them a taste. And while you're there, you can, under the influence of the non-alcoholic cider, you can go get upgrade your rig at Player Arms and Gear, because they've got some really good stuff on their website. They often have a sale or two on, and you can find all the details in the Discord. Greg Favel, he's what do you reckon, guys? Can he beat the 124 dead? He's got 124.022. Is he going to make a 123 by the end of this race?
Graham Stewart asking to be woken up because... Oh, no, hang on. There's a car on the wall, I reckon. Yep, bang. I don't know. Dave Oliver, I think it might have been, yeah. Have a look at that. The front end of the Synergy car crunched up. Substantial damage sustained. And Dave Oliver's night is done, having just completed his his first and only compulsory stop here. Remembering that his first pit stop came at the very start of the race. He opted to start from pit lane in the aim of avoiding carnage. Unfortunately, he's caused his own there. And there goes Paul Wood around again as well. That was very light, gentle contact with the outside wall.
Yeah, Paul Wood leaving himself with a ladder to climb to get to a decent position here.
Pit lane very busy. Favel, Green, Baker, Spriggs all in. Banksy, sorry. Go on.
That's all right. I was just taking an opportunity to make a pun. That was a very MotoGP moment, wasn't it, when we heard him into the wall and you were wondering who it was and where they'd gone off. Very much MotoGP vibes, and we're going to see the whole of the field cleansed here, because I assume Snadden will pop into the pits once he comes around, and we're seeing Favel, Green, Spriggs and Baker all in the pits. So this is the race at the front of the field, and it is Greg Favel is going to get out first, then Jalen Green, and Snadden going around again.
There you go. There you go.
That's not side by side with David Green.
So
Green.
Favell and Green have got back out there, and Green's got back into second out right now. Snadden is third, but not effectively because we know he's got to come in and pay an invoice just yet. We're on lap 12. We're expecting another 6 laps from here. This is Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club for the third last time in 2023. Week 8, turn 4, night 1. Whoa. Michael Hammond. They've narrowly avoided Stefan Lawrence. Now down the outside. Oh, jeez. They've barely hung on to it. That was good. Elbows out racing. Here's what happened to Stefan. Yeah.
Bit too greedy on the throttle in the mid corner.
I think you just need to stick a fork in that car tonight. I think it's done. He's had a shock. Now, as anticipated, Travis Hunt's pitted twice, so too Stefan Lawrence. Dave Oliver has parked up for the night. And Dane Snadden yet to stop.
So I think this is going to end in tears between Hammer Time and Hunt. They are so close to each other. Hammer Time absolutely parking it on the apex couple of corners ago, and Hunt all but going into back.
Here's the moment. Hunt down the outside. Oh, there it is. There's the contact. Door to door. And then some. And Hunt gets by around the outside. What about that? Hammond looks to fight back on the inside. Hunt scrapes the wall on the outside. Hammond down the inside. Bang, you're right, Liam Banks. It ends in tears. Hunt drives away. Hammond's crunched up.
Let's see exactly how this unfolded. So Hammond trying to come from behind. Just carries a little bit too much speed in, loses the rear end, and nothing he can do. We'll watch as he plows into the side of Travis Hunt. Thankfully, Hunt comes off not too bad. Hammond also able to continue, but we've seen so many cars do that, haven't we? Losing the rear end mid-corner, just carrying a bit too much speed, and not a surprise when two cars are battling like that to see that being the final result. Right, Graham Stewart?
Absolutely. We've got the easy job here in Central Commentary and loving it as well. Hey, Michael Hammond back out in 10th place at the moment. Grant Gill, grown-up beverages as well. Exactly right. I think we'll need a few of them tonight. Will Buchanan was the big beneficiary in all of that. So too Dale Sharp. They've both got by. Greg Brooks up into 8th place. Travis Hunt back to 9th and Michael Hammond down to 10th. Stefan Lawrence gets by Nick Fodiatis to go into 13th. We've got our eyes on Dane Snadden.
To me, this is proving that we need more bumps on proper circuits.
Just send them for a race around the streets of Cessnock. They'll find bumps everywhere. Pothole after pothole after bloody pothole.
Down South Road at Adelaide. They'll have a similar impression.
I like the reference, Graham Stewart. You get a drive through. You get a drive through. Everyone gets a drive through. Very good. Favell, Green, Baker, Spriggs, Varga, Buchanan, Sharp, Brooks, Hunt, and Nichols. 3 Fords, 7 Holdens in the top 10. Everybody's pitted. We're cleansed. We're going to the checkered flag here. We'll have, actually, you know what? Greg Favell is going to come across the line to complete lap 14 now. There he goes. All right. A minute 35 per lap if we were to get 3 from here. So therefore, no, we're going to go 18 as I predicted. We're definitely going to get home in during time. 1:23.746 last time around for Favell. So we'll get back to the line. If I've done my numbers right, boys, inside somewhere between 40 and 30 seconds left on the clock to start that last lap, number 18. Green.
Tell us the Zachalea was wrong, and I was going to go to my window and see if there were any pigs flying outside.
Yeah, so was I. Don't worry, I was a little bit worried myself, but I had to do the mathematics twice. The boys know that I've been fairly busy today editing away, producing the Hyundai XL Nationals broadcast that'll air on West Bromwich Radio this weekend. I'm also doing the voiceover next week for the video post-event production as well, which will be far shorter than the radio coverage. It'll just be the highlights. courtesy of the team at Turn 7 Media over there in WA. So stand by for a plethora of Hyundai XL content in the next short while. Oh boy, look at Favell.
Yeah, he's pushing. He's just gone below 1 minute 24 for the first time in this race. A 1 minute 23.746, putting his fastest lap well clear of the rest of the field by over a quarter of the second. He is absolutely showing off. He's so confident in this car and his mastery of it that he feels like he can push plus 2 laps in underneath a 1 minute 24. Only driver there so far, and he's doing it when he's got nothing to gain from it because he's got a healthy 5-second lead. This is just to put the top on. Put the finishing touch on top of the cake.
You're watching Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Next time by the line, 2 laps to go! There goes Dale Sharp into the wall!
To continue though, although we can see that front left tyre, which is, well, supercars aren't open wheelers, so that's not how that car's supposed to
There's a few of them that will look like it by the end of the night.
Steering still straight. That's a plus.
Yeah. How though? That was a heavy hit. That was a heavy hit. He got lucky, I think. The tech gods with him on this occasion. 2:20 left on the clock. Greg Favell, next time by the line, will start the penultimate lap of the race. As I said, somewhere inside 40 seconds to go will be when the white flag flies. We're in the streets of Chicago tonight. Down the inside goes Brooksy on Sharp, and job done. Brooks moves up into 7th place and then pangs into the wall himself.
You've got to love the kahunas on these guys. They've watched, each of them has got to watch 3 or 4 people put in the wall, came across people that are facing the wrong direction, wondering what's going on. They've seen all the other cars that are carrying damage everywhere, and they still think, you know what, I can get closer to the walls. I can find more lap time, and then they just go and hit them. It's brilliant, and that's an optimistic move from Snadden. They're both going to get aware of it. Snadden locking his wheels on the inside of that corner, and yeah, let's see. Oh no, there he goes.
There it is.
The wall.
Oh no. So Dane Snadden will sweep on through into 8th place. Dale Sharp on the tie rope to pit lane. Michael Hammond's been there for a little while. I'm not sure what caused that. Oh boy. It's been one of those nights, hasn't it? So much drama, so much attrition.
We've got an hour of Fuji next in the GT3s. Oh, what a night.
Thank you for the reminder. I was going to say, we are going Oriental tonight, but not until the second leg of the doubleheader. This is the entree. Fuji's the main course. Definitive round of the Waste Options GT3 Championship, and looking forward to it immensely. Can Matty Dench put one hand on the title tonight? Oh, I think he's already got one hand on it, to be fair. Maybe he'll put 1 or 2 fingers from the second hand on it as well.
That's what I was going to say. You beat me to it.
Dench doing Dench things. It's fantastic. Now, Greg Favell, the race leader here. We're on the last lap on the streets of Chicago. The sun's starting to set. But because it's not Queensland in summer, it's actually at a decent time of the evening. Jaden Green second, Tony Baker, Jason Spriggs, Stephen Varga, then Will Buchanan, Greg Brooks, Dane Snadden, Stephen Lawrence, Mark Horton make up the top 10. There are still somehow, Greg Favell's about to put Travis Hunter up down potentially here, and does so. There we go. Straight up the outside. There are still 12 cars on the lead lap. Whether Tim Nicol can stay on the lead lap and get back to the line and get the last lap flag before the checkered flag flies remains to be seen. Stephen Lawrence has just come back into pit lane. We've lost Dale Sharp, Michael Hammond, Paul Wood and Dave Oliver from this field. So we started with 17, we finished with 13, and Greg Favell's on his way home to the checkered flag. Dane Snadden all over the back of Greg Brooks. We'll get back to that in a moment. Last turn, checkered flag. Yes, Greg Favell does put Tim Nicol lap down. 11 cars home on the lead lap. Varga gets the 5th place in the end there, and Greg Favell gets the job done. And that's very nicely done. 3 on the trot, I think it is, for Greg Favell. Magnificent stuff. Green second, Baker third, Spriggs, as I said, Varga ended up in 5th. Then Buchanan, Brooks and Snadden. Snadden gets by Brooks. Snowden got by Brooks. I was too caught up in waiting for Greg Favell to come across the line. I was too caught up in this battle, and we've finally got back to it. Snowden got the job done. Can he hold on to it? That was a nice clinical move, actually. Probably one of the cleanest moves of the night. He's coming back to the main straight. Can he get the job done, Banksy? Can he hold on from here? I think so.
Yeah, I think he can. It was
yes.
Good to see Buchanan, Brooks, offer him a lot of space there as well. Didn't find it too hard. Knew it was
Brooksy!
And they do, just about.
Wow. They both slid through the final four. Extraordinary. So, Holden's dominated the top 10, 6 and 4. Holden to Ford. Favell, the fastest lap of the race, 1:23.748, winning margin exactly 10 seconds. So yet again, Greg Favell cleans up in Super 2 and puts one hand on the title.
If anybody made it through without a scratch on the car, can you please let us know? Because I think he deserves some sort of award.
Yeah, I think it's called a clean race bonus. Because I don't think there are too many off-track limits around here tonight, given that it's a street circuit. If you're off the track, you're in the wall. So off-track would seem redundant. There are the results. Well done, Greg Favell. Green second. Baker, Spriggs, Varga made up the top 5. Then Buchanan, Snadden, Brooks, Horton, Fodiatis. So Nick got into the top 10 in the end, despite a frustrating mongrel of a start for him. Then Stephen Lawrence, Tim Nicol was a lap down. So too Travis Hunt. They were the 13 that got home. Dale Sharp and Mike Hammond did themselves an injustice, actually, boys, because if that had stayed in the server, actually, Sharp would have got classified, Hammond wouldn't have. So, given that we got 18 laps in, I think 14 would have been the 75% marker, or 15. So, Sharpie would have just been okay, but no one else beyond that. Greg Brooks got turned around at the start, and that was just the start of the drama.
Yeah, that was about as calm as the race would be. So that was the run down to the first corner. That was the only time there wasn't somebody in the wall.
I wonder if anybody's going to want to come in and have a chat to us at the end of that. Because I reckon there'll be a few walking wounded, battered and bruised amongst the field.
There'll be a lot of drivers looking at that race thinking, oh, if only I'd kept it clean. If only I'd driven a bit more with it myself, there was a good result there. And I dare say a few of them will watch this back and then go, oh, actually, it was genuinely very, very difficult, and I shouldn't feel too bad about not having a clean race, because just about nobody did, except for Greg Favell, and, well, he went and won the darn thing, didn't he?
Yeah, Favell lost the start. He missed out on the start to Jaden Green, but it didn't take him too long to restore order there. And we've got Greg Brooks and Jaden Green standing on by to come and have a chat to us. And in the end, I might start with Jaden. I'll go to Brooksy in just a moment. Guys, thanks for stopping on by to have a chat to us here. Jaden, well done. First forward past the post. No stopping Greg Favell at the moment, but at least you kept him honest for the first lap and a half. And then you stuck with him for a good while there. And then all of a sudden, we jump on board with you and it's oversteer central.
Yeah, definitely cooked the tyres a little bit, trying to keep up with Greg there. I think he got damaged, that's why I was able to keep up with him so well for the first stint. Yeah, I blew the tyres off it. It's a difficult track to tune for.
I think that answers your question, Banksy. I don't think anyone got away without a scratch tonight at some point here. I was going to say, nice start, Jaden, to be able to lead the thing early. But more importantly, you kept your nose clean, you stayed out of trouble and got home in in second place to the bloke that's just joined us in the booth. In saying that was a really solid drive. That it goes to show what you said there a few moments ago. Tony Baker needs to set up the push to talk, and he'll come and have a chat to us. Good on your TV. We'll hold you to that. But it goes to show just how difficult these things are to micromanage, really, for lack of better words, mate. As you say, it didn't take long trying to stay with the best in the business that we've got at the moment for your tyres to overheat and give you an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, The tyres were ridiculous. I had a massive moment on the last lap at the first turn. I almost binned it, so I almost threw away the podium. Luckily, I was able to recover from it.
And on that subject, how difficult is it when you're driving around here, even when you are 5 seconds down the road and you are battling with some oversteer? How difficult is it with no pressure on you to nail it each and every lap to keep it off the walls? Because as you saw there, Greg scraped the wall once. I don't think there was anyone that missed a wall tonight. Every wall got a touch at some point. But how difficult are these street circuits just in terms, like from a mental standpoint?
Oh, this one's definitely probably the most difficult because the racing line you're on the wall for the racing line. So it's very difficult, this track. You're having to push it the whole 18 laps that we did. Yeah, it wasn't easy.
Indeed. And what are your thoughts on the final 2 rounds of the championship now, mate?
It's going to be good. I miss Sandown because I'll be up at work.
Right,
so
okay.
spewing I miss Sandown, but I'll be back for Bathurst, so I've got to work on that setup for the boys. Hopefully they can put it up there while I'm not here.
It makes it hard, doesn't it? I mean, you're sitting okay in the championship, but it makes it hard when you do miss the odd round here and there, and you've got no fallback with drop rounds. It does make it hard to mount a championship attack here, mate.
Yeah, it is difficult, but part of my work, I work fly in, fly out, so I don't really have much of a choice in that matter. So I'll just race when I can and see what I can do.
Fair enough. Hey, nicely done tonight, mate. Thanks for stopping on by to have a chat to us. Well done on keeping Greg honest for as long as you could, and thanks for keeping us amused when we rode on board with you and saw just how much you were struggling and battling with that car, and the fact that you didn't end up in the concrete and riding yourself off. I'll never know how you managed to achieve that. So well done, and we look forward to seeing you at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, cheers for the racing tonight. It was a tough one, but it's good in the end. Cheers.
There he is, Jaden Green. We've got Greg Favell and Greg Brooks standing on by. Brooksy, I want to come to you first and say thanks for the entertainment. Geez, you kept us on our toes from first until last. In the wars from the first corner, as we saw there on the replay a few moments ago. But still, you only had to stop once. That's probably a stroke of luck considering all the other drama that was unfolding around you. Yep, the car will need serious attention to detail going into next week at Sandown. But I mean, from your perspective, just talk us through how taxing a 25 minutes that was, please.
Oh, it was an interesting race. So, as you saw, first lap was first corner was a bit of a blunder. Thinking about other things, so anxiety took hold, and I was like, "Oh no, crap, we're going." So, whatever. I got in there, and unfortunately, I don't know who it was that I just basically was getting T-boned all the way around the corner. I got in their way, so tried to get out of the way there, but. I was actually really impressed with my recovery. I just thought, look, I don't have to be fast at this rate because I kept seeing people diving into the pits all the time, and I thought I just keep going, I'll be right. So it was really interesting trying to be able to keep it going. I did really well right up until I think it was like the second last lap, and caught up with someone on I think it was turn 6 or 7. And got a little bit undone. Oh no! So just tried to survive the rest of the way. I made a meatball last lap, and I thought, oh, let's just try and keep it going. It was really hairy around that big water fountain area, so trying to correct the oversteer. And but I got there. Doesn't matter. I got some points in the bag.
In saying that, the fact that you got there, the fact that you kept it in, relatively in one piece, the fact that you came home in a top 10 finishing position, that's a box ticked, and now you can focus on Sandown and Bathurst.
Yeah, really glad that this one's done. I won't be looking back on this one with fond memories. I'll hopefully make some better memories with the next two.
All right, very nicely done. Banksy, anything for Brooksy while we've got him?
So
yeah, there is.
Have you raced Belle Isle in these cars around here?
No, I haven't.
No, because I'd love to know how they compare, because it's very similar in the bumps and the 90-degree corners, just very similar circuits, and I was just wondering how the two compares, because I love Belial, but I haven't had the opportunity to drive this track yet.
Actually, I reckon the right person to ask is just below you in the chat thread here. Come in, Nick Photiadis.
Coming in.
Have you driven these cars around Belial, and are you able to draw some sort of comparison for our mate Banksy here?
Well, I haven't driven a taxi around Belial. However, they're both roughly in the same part of the United States where it snows a lot, and so the road grows and shrinks. And as we've seen with Belial, the Indy cars, it gets lumpier and bumpier every time they go back. So this being in downtown Chicago, I dare say it'll be exactly the same.
All right. Has anyone, whilst we've got the floor here, and that is the topic of discussion, has anyone, I'm looking at obviously Jaden or Greg Favell, have either of you got a comparison?
I haven't driven this one around Belial, but I've done a fair few races in the modern V8 supercar, and Chicago's a different beast. They're a lot higher speed corners, I reckon, and you really got to push the walls every lap. So, yeah, I love them both, but I think Chicago's a bit keeps you on the edge a bit more than Belial.
All right, very nicely done. Banksy, back to you.
So, who's going to stop Greg Favell? That's the question now, isn't it? You've got a pretty good lead in the standings, Greg. Is there anyone behind you that worries you, that you think could mount a challenge from here? Or are you feeling pretty confident you're going to be able to get the job done?
We did a bit of like an hour's practice last night to sort of fine-tune one of the setups, and Jason Spriggs was right with me the whole time, so I really thought he was going to be there tonight. I think I stuffed him up off the first corner though. I got a bad start and I should have just pulled out and let him go. So yeah, Jason Spriggs can definitely drive these things quick. If Anthony Visma would come back, he's definitely quick. So
all right. Yeah. On that subject, Greg, well done on the win, mate. Tip the hat to you, 10 seconds, and another dominant win, and I reckon one hand on the championship as well. Just talk us through the night from your perspective, because as I'd already mentioned to Jaden Green, it started well for him, but you only took about a lap and a half to restore order.
Yeah, I love these tracks. It's like I say, you flinch just about every corner, thinking you're going to hit the wall. You got to, if you're not scraping the wall every now and then, you're not driving the car to its potential, I don't think. But yeah, it was just a matter of just doing consistent lap times and not overdoing it, but not underdoing it. It's a fine balance around these street circuits. So yeah, and then at the end there, that last stint, I just went for the quickest lap and then tried to match it each lap just to keep the concentration level up. So yeah, got lucky tonight.
Indeed, but no, you did a nice job of it, mate. I mean, how'd you handle the pressure from Jaden? I mean, you wore him down because in trying to stick with you, he did a number on his tyres. But were you feeling the pinch there at any point?
No, I knew Jaden was quick from qualifying, but I knew if you just keep it consistent, keep the car off the walls, not try and minimise damage, then yeah, anything can happen. So yeah, I just try and relax, especially these tracks. Even though I'm a bit buggered at the end of that one, so yeah.
All right, very nicely done. Now, as far as the championship's concerned, you'd be hoping, no doubt, to potentially sew it up next week when we get to Sandown to go into the round at Bathurst with the pressure off, mate.
Yeah, I think Sandown's one of them tracks where anyone can win that. It's not many spots where you can try and gain that little advantage here and there, so hopefully Sandown's a lot closer, and I'm looking forward to Bathurst, another one of my favourite tracks, so yeah, bring on Bathurst, I say.
Bring on Bathurst indeed. Banksy, anything else for our championship leader at the moment?
No, nothing from me.
All right, we'll let you go, Greg. Well done. Congratulations, another great result. The Holden on top and one step closer to a title. Well done.
Thanks, fellas.
And, of course, noting that we've got GT3 coming up at quarter to the hour and looking forward to that immensely. Let's bring in our esteemed colleague and friend, Nick Photiadis. Tough night for the stable, mate. Tough start for you, but you fought back well in a race of attrition. You just had to survive and you brought home a top 10.
Well, that's it. It was a race of survival. Thank you, Zach. The Bailey Ladders car was all right, but the driver had a bit of a brain fade in turn 2 there, so just keep it off the walls and keep going straight.
And I mean, obviously, you've probably already spoken to your stablemates, Paul Wood and Michael Hammond. We saw Hammond in the wars, unfortunately, on more than one occasion. But what was the cause of Woodsig's demise?
Look, with Mikey, he's like an LS motor. He doesn't rev too high. If he gets too high in the revs, he starts to get a bit unstable and wants to blow a gasket. So, unfortunately, he was on the limiter tonight, so just had to leave him be and let him do his thing. Paul wasn't enjoying it. He just, I don't know, he likes Belle Isle, but he didn't enjoy Chicago. So, yeah, mate, he likes Michigan, doesn't like Illinois. So, other than that, I had a ball. I was by myself for a little while there, but I mean, for the most part, it was good fun.
I was going to ask you, being a fan of American tracks and being a fan of street circuits as well, where does this stack up for you?
Well, I always say the Americans tend to they do it differently and they do it better than us. In saying that, runoff will be excellent. But then again, if you're really good and accurate, like say, like Greg, you don't need it. So as you can see, I probably need a bit more track there. It's good. It's super tough, and it is super bumpy. And you need a car that's compliant over these bumps around here, like a bit like what Shane had in the NASCAR when he was going around here.
And I think the exploits of SVG in the NASCAR around here have spurred a few people on to at least buy the circuit and try it. But not necessarily were those numbers reflected on these grids tonight. But what we lacked in depth, we made up for in entertainment.
I don't know why people aren't willing to give it a shot. I don't know. End of season, maybe. I don't know, but it just. You got to give it a shot. You entered the first couple of races. I nearly hit the wall there too. This is a really bad lap. Adam, can we do a different lap? But look, there's all the safety margins built in. Like, where's the adventure? As you can see, the cars just. I'm sure the other guys had better cars than me as well. So, not to say anything to our engineering team, which there is none, but. You need a car that rides the bumps, and we just 3 seconds a lap, I think, off the pole. Around 90 seconds is quite a long way. What's that? 10%? Just under?
That's a very good question. I reckon you're right. Just under. Yeah. So.
But the main thing is, I had fun. I was in the top split. I got some scalps in the last couple of laps anyway to give me that top 10, because I'm going, I think I'm going to get a top 10 to the boys, and then I saw that I'm at 11. I go, hold on, this could be on here, and just people were driving away from me. They're just getting off the corners really well, so I don't know what I needed to do. Well, you have an answer for it, but just keep plodding around.
Just survive is the main thing, and you did that, mate.
Exactly.
So well done. Now, speaking of survival, even though there's runoff area, Sandown's one of those tracks that is also fraught with danger because of the high-speed nature of it, and also the traps around there, like Dandenong Road. So we're looking forward to that one next week with one eye towards the mountain the week after. Your thoughts on Sandown?
Oh, look, I think, as always, Dandenong Road's going to catch a couple of people out, and who knows, somebody might put a dandy surprise on someone down there. I believe, though, Adam can correct me, he just texted me earlier this afternoon, I believe that's the second split. Is that correct? Is it next week?
That's the current
Adam?
plan, yeah.
We're broadcasting the second split next week, are we?
That's the current plan.
Okay.
There you go.
I love learning news on the fly on air. It's the joys of live television.
It's on the schedule.
I'm well aware of that, but you're implying that I actually have had that look at the schedule in the last couple of days.
Just to do some spreaking, we did Magny Cores in the, I can't call it what I said before, the US Open
Correct.
Dealers on Friday night. That was a hell of a lot of fun. David Baz was the winner with your director, Adam Lavis, second place there, myself in third.
Nice.
Race Control, aka Joe, threw the caution just before the first stop, so got pretty much everybody on the same sequence. It was actually a really, really good ding-dong race. and plenty of action in the hairpin, but there was lots of passing as well. So I think overall was good. This week we head to Texas.
And the next 2 rounds after that to wrap up the season?
Jerez in Spain, so we're going to Sherry
Nice.
in the back of Spain there, and then we finish at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the oval.
Very nice. Good to see tradition maintained. Hey, mate, well done. Nicely played. Obviously, not the easiest night for Hammond or Wood. Hammond's found himself in the wars a few times throughout the course of this campaign. Game on for the last 2 weeks, and good luck with GT4 on Wednesday night as well.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
And we can't forget IndyCar on Friday night either. There's the lay of the land at the moment. So Greg Favell is within an earshot of wrapping up the championship next week. 90 points the advantage on Tim Harris, who we didn't see tonight. Stephen Vargas jumped up into 3rd place, and that 5th place tonight helped him in that scenario, maintain 3rd at least. Jaden Green's jumped up to 4th, displaced Michael Hammond, Tony Baker, then Tim Nichols, Stephen Lawrence, Andrew Dutch, and Mark Horton making up the top 10 at the moment. Oh boy, time to catch our breath, but not for too long, Banksy, because we've got Fuji coming up. I mean, well played, Greg Favell, well played, Jaden Green, well played, Tony Baker. I mean, Tony somewhat went unnoticed all night, flew under the radar, kept quiet, kept to himself, and comes away with the podium.
Yeah, but that was the trick tonight, wasn't it? If you could stay off the broadcast, there was a good result coming your way.
Yep. It's usually a sign of success if we're not talking about you in the commentary box. I only heard that mentioned in real world circles a couple of weeks ago, and I like it. I like it a lot. Now, we're going to a break on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. But before we do, cannot do this without the people scrolling across the bottom of your screen that make it possible for us to sit here and broadcast for you, and these guys to go racing each and every week. They are our loyal, dedicated sponsors and supporters. They include Player One Sim Gear. They also include Leipzig Racing. Good. Is that a logo change on the Leipzig Racing logo? Have a look. No, I don't know. I was going to say maybe Daniel's got a different version of it than you do. That is a very nice yellow and very nice Australian touch to that. Nicely done, Treno. M-Wave, of course, and Flash Graphics, Waste Options, Sprite Insiders, Orbic Australia, and Login Systems. Big thanks to all those people for their ongoing support of the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Night 1 of Week 8 of Term 4 in 2023. A break and back to Mount Fuji. On the other side of this short break, the Fuji International Speedway awaits the last 60-minute race of the GT3 campaign. Of course, we go sprint racing next week, and we're looking forward to that immensely before the 90-minute enduro wraps up the campaign from Mount Panorama Bathurst. So yes, the racing at Bathurst is not done yet this year. A break from us, and back with more on the other side as we go Oriental to the main course on a Monday night. Yep. Monday Night Motorsport continuing for you on the platforms of the Gentleman's Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. This is night 1 of week 8 in term 4 of 2023, season 15 for the club. And for the first time in a while, we go Oriental. We make our way to Oyama, Japan, to the Fuji Speedway. And the 8th round of Waste Options GT3 Pro. I'm Zach Caban, alongside me, Adam Lavis and Liam Banks. And the third last round of the championship is also the first of 3 different formats on show in as many weeks. We go 60-minute racing tonight, sprint racing next week on the back of a maiden voyage to France last week, the new venue that got mixed reviews, of course. And then, of course, sprint racing back on the agenda next week, and then a 90-minute race the week after. 4.48 kilometres is the course length. We're at 20 to 9 in the morning. Local time. Japan a bit like Queensland in the sense that it doesn't understand the concept of daylight saving or progressive civilization, but that's okay. We can deal with that when it's not our country. 17 degrees the track temperature and 16 the ambient, and 15 kilometre an hour winds. 71% humidity will play a role here as well. Let's have a look at the championship standings as we venture into this round, and it's just one-way traffic at the moment. 62 the margin, Dench to Cox, and then another 48 back to Wayne Hewitt. 110 covers the top 3. Jared Knight on the precipice, on the cusp of upstaging or upsetting the apple cart with the potential Ferrari 1-2-3 happening here and getting a bimmer into the top 3. 10 points back to Nick Wood, 6 further back to Richard Mitchum. So all those bimmers are lurking. From one slip up from Wayne Hewitt, they'll pounce. Then Sam Chapman on 200 points. After 11th in race 1 and the win in race 2 last week. Matt Distill, Tom Martin, Jake Jackson, the top 10. Remembering, of course, last week Matty Dench had an absolute shocker. Yes, he won race 1, but he got taken out at the start of the sprint race in race 2. Thomas Martin, Jake Jackson make up the top 10. 215 points between 1st and 10th at the moment. So already some genuine players out of contention. Matt Dench and Simon Cox, the front row here for round 8 of the championship. Luke Turner back on the grid. Rick Vincent back on the grid. There's a cavalcade of GSRC alumni returning to the fold on a Monday night. John Merritt adds to that, of course, in 5th place on the grid there. Sharing row 3 with him is Thomas Martin. Row 4 will be Wayne Hewitt and Jared Knight. Row 5, Sam Chapman and Nick Wood. Row 6, Andrew Hazard and Alan Holgerson. Row 7, Fred Kahn and Rob Hill. Row 8, David Johnson. And the only Audi in the field, have a look at that, in Scott Wooden. Dane Snudden, David Baz from 9, Stephen Gallacher, Tim Fuge, Kai Ardley and Dave Riddell make up the field. Now, Ferrari, tick. McLaren, tick. Porsche, tick. BMW, tick. Audi, tick. 5 of the 8 manufacturers are on the grid tonight. We haven't got a Merc, we haven't got a Ford, and we haven't got a Lambo. Banksy, aside from Denchi putting on a clinic, what do we see happening here?
For once, I really don't know, because the strength of this field is absolutely ridiculous. You know it's a strong field. We've got John Merritt in 5th and Jared Knight in 8th. 2 drivers that generally find their way to the front of just about any field, any GT3 field certainly, and Jared Knight's barely in the top 10. Okay, the BMW's not the top car you want around here. According to Sam Chapman, it drives like a boat through the final sector compared to the Ferraris. But I do not want to predict this, particularly if Cox, Turner, or Vincent can get ahead of Dench at the start. It could make for a very, very interesting hour that we're going to spend together, and the safety car is just leading them away, so that hour is going to start very, very shortly with Dench leading the field away.
And interestingly, this is Denchi's first time at this track, because he's admitted it's not one of his favourites. So will there be a little bit of a track rust or mistakes due to the fact that this is not a track he is used to? We'll have to wait and see.
It's got all the ingredients to be an incredibly spicy race. So sit with us and hopefully you don't get injured.
All right. We are getting set to rock and roll. Matt Dench and Simon Cox the front row. Luke Turner and Rick Vincent back on the grid on the second row. John Merritt and Thomas Martin from row 3. Set to go. Round Fuji. Fuji Speedway, Japan, hosting the third last round of Waste Options GT3 Monday Night Motorsport for 2023. The field is in the control of the championship leader, Matt Dench. Whenever he decides to hit the gas, they will get going. This main straight is so very, very long that they'll come down at a rather moderate tempo before we hit the gas and get going. Safety car pulls off. Dench takes control of the field. Have a look at Coxie right there with him as they hit the gas and go. And Cox missed the jump. Turner's going to have a run down on the inside. Here we go at Fuji. Down the outside, Rick Vincent. John Merritt, Jared Knight has already got by Thomas Martin. Down they come. The roller coaster to turn 1. The hairpin. And Cox is under pressure around the outside. Luke Turner's got him on the inside. And now, unfortunately for Cox, he's under all sorts of pressure. He's under the pump. He's trying to cover off John Merritt and has barely managed to do so. It's a clean start in Japan.
Yeah, Matty Dench already building a large lead, almost up to a second to only 4 corners, which is incredible to think of it, but that's of course been helped by Simon Cox falling down into third place. Luke Turner getting him through that opening sequence of corners, and that's Alan Holgerson. Is it Scott Wooden going off in the background? Somebody's gone off in the background.
Not getting any off-track alerts on my screen. David Baz has dropped 3 spots. Nick Woods dropped 2 on the opening lap. And now the field makes its way through the chicane for the first time. Off goes David Johnson. Off goes David Johnson. Through the weeds. He's got company there in the form of Alan Holgerson. Oh, no, my apologies. Kai Ardley. Kai Ardley in 19th place.
Yeah, Kyle Lee, I don't think he did any qualifying. He started at the back of this field, already making up a couple of positions, and I think he's going to get David Johnson soon. Just flashing his lights to let him know that he is there. Luke Turner in second place currently with Matty Dench leading the field away. That's a sight we're familiar to seeing. Luke Turner's in the blue and orange McLaren behind him. Then we've got Simon Cox in a Ferrari, followed by the pulse tuning McLaren of John Merritt. Some nice distinctive liveries there to make our jobs a little bit easier. Behind Merritt, we've got Rick Vincent, then Jared Knight, who's up 2, so he's had a strong start. Thomas Martin in 7th, Wayne Hewitt, who's trying to defend 3rd, and the championship is in 8th. And then we've got Sam Chapman 2nd in the BMW, started 9th, currently in 9th, and Andrew Hazard has made his way into the top 10 behind him.
Matt Dench leads the way. 1:38.383, the standing time. Luke Turner leading the charge to try and track him down. So it's Ferrari, McLaren, then Porsche, BMW, the top 690. A good start here, Liam Banks, up 2 spots.
Yeah, having exactly the start he needed. He's still in contention. He's within that lead pack, which goes from 1st to 9th. He's made a couple of positions. If he can get the likes of Vincent and Merritt early on, he'll fancy himself a threat in this race, even to the likes of Matty Dench. Although if Matty Dench keeps putting in lap times like that, with a 1:38.3 on the second lap of the race, on the first lap of the race, it's going to be trouble, because he's gone a second faster than anybody else in the first lap. Don't think he's going to repeat at this lap unless he's finding all of his time in the final sector. This is a Rob Hill for Barbecue Motorsport. He's trying to defend from Dane Snadden, who is a very, very secure customer in this series. He's constantly picking up decent results, and look for him to make his way forward from 15th towards the top 10 as this race progresses. Of course, we've got another 57 minutes for this race to go. And on the second lap, Luke Turner's been able to pinch back Matty Dench slightly faster that lap, a 1/10 of a second quicker, so game on.
Now, just remembering as well, if we're basing this on lap times of around about a minute 40 a lap, it's 1:38.9, the best time so far. 1:40 a lap, though, that's 3 laps every 5 minutes, which gets you to 36 in the hour. Given that they've got 2 splashes and dashes and pit lane's substantially long here, I can see it being touch and go as to whether we get 36, but definitely 35 laps tonight. And if we get to 36, then that's good for us and a little bit of overtime. But we'll keep an eye on those pit lane transits first time round and try and do the number crunching from there. There will be two little splashes and dashes along the way here tonight, and there will be a little bit of gamesmanship as per usual with where those strategies come into play. Do you want to go long, short, long, short, or split it down the middle and do 20-minute stints? There are a few different ways that you can put the pieces of the puzzle together tonight.
Yeah, and however you do this race, whatever strategy you want to take, you need to keep an eye on Denchi if you want any chance of winning this race. We know what he can do with fuel saving. We know he's an absolute magician of just finding time through strategy. So even in races like this, when he's got cars in close company, he often ends up multiple seconds in the lead, and you have no idea how he's done it until you look at the pit times and you realise that he's been saving fuel. So the likes of Turner, the likes of Cox, the likes of Merritt, they have designs on winning this race. They need to make sure that however much fuel saving Matty Dench is doing, they need to match his pace whilst matching that, because just going as fast as him is only half of the equation. You need to do it using as little of the resources available to you as he does, otherwise you're effectively out of the race, even if it seems like you're in touch on track.
Yeah, absolutely. So Luke Turner in second at the moment, leading the charge in the battle for the best of the rest. Because look, Dench is already nearly a second up the road. We're only on lap 4. It is. The signs are fairly ominous here at the moment. And the fastest lap of the race belongs to car number 164. 1 minute 38.66. And that's, of course, Simon Cox. So getting the tow from Luke Turner is working wonders for Coxie at the moment. And this is interesting too, Banksy, because Luke Turner's kind of pulling the train along now. Here's David Baz, a moment for him early in the piece. Yep, they're both gone. So with Luke Turner almost out of the slipstream of Matty Dench, he's now pulling the rest of the train along. So the rest of the train will try and do their best to do a little bit of fuel saving along the way. Oh, that was just everybody getting checked up, coming into the chicane on the opening lap. Everyone slowing down to crawling speed almost. And the pack was backed up with nowhere to go. And that was Scott Wooden into the wall, so well picked, Banksy. Because you mentioned that you thought Wooden was in trouble on the opening lap. Here comes David Baz. This is what happened to him coming down into pit lane. In fact, on the tow rope. Look at that. Or is he? Yeah, he's not going to go any further. He's still in pit lane. And we go back live now with John Merritt.
Interesting to note how tight this pack is staying. Turner's just managed to pull away a little bit this lap. Increase that gap to Merritt to 3/4 of a second. But everyone else behind him looking very much like they've got the pace to go a bit quicker, which is really interesting to see. Not what I expected. I thought we might see them those gaps gradually build throughout the lap, because it's quite a technical circuit, and then the more close back in on that incredibly long start-finish straight. But they're actually staying close throughout the entirety of the lap. Those gaps never getting above half a second, yet nobody's able to affect the overtake, and that really surprises me. It makes me wonder what the true order of pace is here, or whether everybody's taking the opportunity to do a bit of fuel saving while they're in this pack, and we're not going to see the true makeup of this race until after the first or second round of stops. Just another storyline to keep an eye on is we've got Kai Ardley coming through the field, and his pace is very, very strong. He's running a similar pace to the leaders right now, despite being in 17th position. Of course, he's a name some of you will know if you watch the Dunlop series. And going very well in that series is Cardley, so just watch for him. I don't think he's going to be in the fight for the lead, have to be going faster than the leaders if he's going to make that up, but it could very well be a threat to just about everybody in the top 10. So keep an eye on for that. And of that top 10, important to note that Sam Chapman was with this group, but he is dropping back a little bit now, 1.7 seconds off the back of Wayne Hewitt, who was the last car in that lead group. So from Matty Dench all the way down to Hewitt in 8th, there is not a gap above a second. First gap of note is from Hewitt to Chapman, and then from Chapman to Hazard in 10th.
So the train is long at the moment. First gap in it is Hewitt back to Chapman. Now, that's interesting as well, because we're mentioning that Wayne Hewitt is clinging on to third in the championship standings at the moment. Behind him, of course, is Jared Knight by only 1 point. But Knight is 3 positions up the road at the moment. I know you've got to factor in calculations with regards to drop rounds and that side of the matrix, but keep an eye on 90, making a charge for a top 3 finish in this championship.
Yeah, Knight is he's traditionally in that zone, isn't he? He's traditionally one of the fastest guys in this season, in this series, and Wayne Hewitt is having his best season on record, unless I'm very much mistaken. So that's a fight that we really want to keep an eye on, because it'd be lovely to see Wayne Hewitt able to capitalise on the strong seasons he's had so far and finish in the top 3. That'd be wonderful for him. But the likes of Jared Knight behind you put pressure on. It's going to be difficult for him, particularly with Knight going so strong here already, up 3 positions into 5th place, and looking possibly the most threatening out of that league group, the only one really to have made moves on track so far. Although we're just watching Snadden here coming past Rob Hill into the hairpin, very nicely done, and Rob Hill not able to get the cut back and get a better drive out of the hairpin, so Snadden will hold on to this position with ease, and that puts him into 14th, up 3 places from his grid position of 17th.
We ride with Simon Cox at the moment, chasing John Merritt. So all of a sudden you've got 2 McLarens split between the 2 Ferraris at the top of the field. You've got 4 manufacturers in the top 10 at the moment. 3 Porsches, 2 Bimmers, 3 Ferraris, 2 McLarens. And everyone line astern through the chicane at the moment. You wouldn't want to slip up at this point of the race in this train, would you, Banksy? Because you just get the feeling that if you let the floodgates open, you make a rod for your own back, you're playing catch-up for the rest of the night. Wayne Hewitt 8th, Sam Chapman 9th, Andrew Hazard following him. Outside, it's Nick Wood, Alan Holgerson, Fred Kahn, Dane Snadden, and Rob Hill to 15th. David Baz already parked up and out of the race for the night. Scott Wooden stopped on lap 2. So that, unfortunately, probably gives him an extra invoice to pay, an extra pit stop to make at the end of the night here. He's better part of 2/3 of a lap down on the chasing pack on the leaders, Dench and Turner at this point. And Dench is now under pressure. Serious pressure from Luke Turner. Down the inside goes Turner and to the lead. Matt Dench under pressure gives Turner a nudge through turn 1. Now, I say that Dench is under pressure, but let me not get too far ahead of myself. We've seen this rodeo before. He might now just want to follow the leader and sit there and wait patiently and play the game. Have a look at how good the McLaren looks from the onboard shot there. Play the game, save a little bit of juice, and continue to allow Luke Turner to pull the field along and pay the juice price at the end of the stint.
Yeah, that definitely could be what we are seeing here. I think it's quite evident that no one's got a outright advantage just in pure lap speed at this point, and it's all about who can make up that 1 hour, well, who can go the furthest in that 1 hour, and that's a very different equation. And it's a brave man who bets against Matty Dench in that. And just look at his lines, they're great. He's using a lot more of the track than Luke Turner, but he's not using it in a way that says to me that he's looking for an overtake. He's just Dench doing Denchy things at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see what fuel saving he's doing and compare that to the likes of Turner and Merritt. And just like that, with the hint, and Lavis does his normal splendid job of keeping us on board, no tension. Yeah,
exactly.
Lots going on in this car.
Always paying attention to detail is our Adam Lavis.
That was an awful lot of lift and coast.
Oh, wasn't it? Wasn't it just? And he's allowed John Merritt through as well. So the McLarens now run 1-2. But again, don't be fooled. Don't let this lead you into any sort of false hope or security or illusion, because we know what Dench is playing at here. He's done it so many times before. And he wasn't too sold on coming to this racetrack either, boys. Let's not forget.
He's basically trying to save 20% more fuel. I think he's trying to make this in like one stop. So these cars that usually do about 24 minutes. He's trying to get over 30.
Now that would be huge if he could pull that off. That would be huge. That would be enormous.
And I think like Fuji's one of those deceiving tracks because it looks like it's a big power track, but because of these long sweeping corners and this staircase at the end, and also the fact that you can do that big long lifting coaster with the hairpin, you can actually save a lot of fuel here. It isn't as much full throttle as it looks because there's a lot of modulating throttle, which does bring that 24 minutes back closer to the 30 mark to start with.
Across the line we go. Route Turner leads John Merritt. This is Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We're on lap 10. We're 15 minutes in. It is the 8th round of Waste Options GT3, our third last of campaign, our last visit to Japan for the season. And great to have Fuji back on the calendar. And, of course, next week we're off to the boot at Watkins Glen, are we not? Is that right? Next Monday night? And then on to Mount Panorama the week after?
Next
Correct.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a fair bit of continent hopping. Last week Europe, this week Asia, next week North America, and then on to Australia to finish it off. Monday, November 27. Hope you'll join us.
And it's sprint racing at the boot as well. That's
always fun. That is
not
always
one to
fun.
miss, is it? That's not one to miss.
You want to be here for that. Be here or be square. 7:40 Eastern Daylight Time next Monday night. For our friends in WA, just leave work at lunchtime. You know, I mean, go home and set yourself up and watch the racing with us throughout the afternoon.
Just tell your boss the GSRC is having GT3s at Watkins Glen boot sprint racing, and they'll understand. They will understand that you need to go home early.
Absolutely. And if you're in Queensland, well, and you missed the start of it, well, it's your own bloody fault. Luke Turner, John Merritt, Matthew Dench. Whoa! Alan Holgerson chopping across in front of Fred Kahn there as they try and stick with Nick Wood here, the Beamer, leading two Ferraris, the battle for 11.
Yeah, interesting here. Chapman and Hazard just inching closer together to that front pack, looking to make it a front 10 instead of a pack of 8 and then a pack of 2 behind them. They closed that gap by almost a second, so that'd be really good if they can make those last few attempts and really turn this into a 10-car fight. And it appears they have done that. All those timings, the yellow and orange on my screen, meaning they're all under 1 second now. And the train just gets bigger. That just tells you the level of fuel saving that's going on, because I don't think all 10 of these drivers are as fast as Matty Dench, John Merritt, Simon Cox at outright pace, but with the fuel saving, various levels of fuel saving that's going on, they're able to keep pace. So I'll be interested to see who wins and who loses in the first round of stops. And given that we're 42 minutes and 42 seconds into this race, we're only going to have another lap or two before we might see the first of those 2 stoppers calling it quits, coming into the pits, and that will be when the race starts to ignite.
Fairly big day on the sporting calendar today, of course. We wake up to the news that India have gone 9 from 9 in the Cricket World Cup preliminary stages. Semi-final 1 Wednesday night, semi-final 2 Thursday night. The Aussies in the Thursday night match, of course, against South Africa. And already so many of us licking the lips with memories of what happened in 1999 when they last met in a World Cup semi-final. Also, we should point out, the NRL draw got released today, boys, for next year. Vegas to kick things off in early March. And then, of course, Magic Round up here in Brisbane in round 11, the week after Mother's Day, the same weekend as the Ipswich show. And, of course, I've just seen, on the subject of sporting exploits, I've just seen a news alert saying that if you're in the Gold Coast area this weekend, good luck because schooling starts. So that'll be the drinking games of 2023 getting underway this weekend. Good stuff. Luke Turner leads. John Merritt is second. Matt Dench, Simon Cox third and fourth. Jared Knight, Rick Vincent, Thomas Martin, Wayne Hewitt make up the top 8. And of course, if you're a Formula One fan this weekend, it's a Sunday afternoon treat from Las Vegas, with the race kicking off 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Western. And on Monday morning, early hours, the penultimate round of MotoGP from Qatar. So a big weekend of 4- and 2-wheel World Championship Motorsport awaits us this weekend. But we've got to get there yet. We're not even halfway through this race on a Monday night, the second leg of our doubleheader. And how many times have we watched this, Banksy, and just rolled with the punches here? Everybody playing the same tactful game at the moment. No one looking to engage in duel or
you say that, but Andrew Hazard and Sam Chapman have been doing battle this lap. The gap between them and the top 8, which was down 2 seconds, ballooned out to 3 seconds. 3 seconds because the two of them are too busy fighting each other to work together to get into the pack, and Andrew Hazard has got ahead of Sam Chapman. So I don't know if it was triggered by a mistake from Sam Chapman, or whether they just decided that they would absolutely go for it.
Oh, here we go. Josh Zuno reckons we should be watching the AM split tonight. It's as close as top split looks. It's a banging race, but we're tied to the pro for the moment. And of course, next week, as Andrew Hazard is overtaken there, in comes Sam Chapman. In comes Sam Chapman. At the end of lap 12, in comes Chapman. Turner continues on, as does most of the rest of the field, but Chapman is in at the end of 12. So next week, of course, we'll have AM Split first up, Pro Split second up from Watkins Glen. Don't miss that. We're looking forward to it immensely. That'll be our last broadcast of an AM race this season, I'm led to understand and believe. So stay with us for that. Keep an eye on everything else happening here at the moment. Well, your point, actually, Banksy, about those guys that were engaging in battle. We often see it beyond the top 10, usually, and it's the top 8 tonight that's playing the game. Tuck in, follow the leader, roll with the punches, get through the first 2 rounds of pit stops, then get the gloves off, then actually engage in battle. No point damaging the car or burning tyres this early in the piece. No good, obviously, getting engaged in battle and losing time to cars in and around you in the same battle pack. So, everybody happy to just allow Luke Turner to pull the train along with him.
Yeah, it was quite early on in hindsight that move was made by Turner and Merritt to get ahead of Dench, or was the move for Dench to get himself behind Turner and Merritt? We'll have to wait till the end of the race to find out. But what is really interesting is seeing Sam Chapman. He did get caught up in a battle with Alan Helgeson, saying, you know what, this isn't good for my race, I'm going to pit. And he was 3 seconds behind this top 8 when the stop was made. Obviously neck and neck with Hazard. So it's going to be really interesting to see once Hazard hits where he comes out in relation to Chapman, and where the likes of Hewitt, Mott and Vincent all come out in relation to him as the first driver to pit, and a driver definitely 100% going for 2 stop, because there's no way he can make it home from here. Interesting to see as well what happens with Turner and Merritt, whether they, and Turner in particular, suffers with the fuel mileage because of pushing that air for this pack being the lead car, or whether he'll manage to save the same amount anyway, because there's no point in spending more fuel to stay ahead if it's just going to cost you the position later on. And that's what we saw from Dench, right? He decided, I need to fuel save this much, I'm going to let off the gas here. And Turner and Merritt went, well, I don't want to do that, I'm going to go past. But that's not always the best move. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happened. But it is important to note that they have not run away from Dench.
No, they certainly have not. We continue on here. We're 22 3/4 minutes into the race. 37 to go. We're on to lap 15 as they come up across the start-finish strike this time. Will they pull to pit lane? Whoa, that was a moment. Jeez.
Yeah.
That was Rick Vincent getting up high.
All of the yellow Twinkies here are basically launching pads.
Rick Vincent to pit lane. He's the first one to pull out of the train. Thomas Martin is now 2 seconds behind Jared Knight. He's got Wayne Hewitt for company. Right into the pit lane comes Rick Vincent. Good evening to Veronica, who's tuning in. No doubt cheering on M. Dench, who's sitting third at the moment. Go for it, Adam.
Jared just got in front of Simon, so he's seeing Denchi's being a little bit fuel savvy, so he wants to get himself a little bit of that Denchi steak and get a move on. Because even though he may get you in the end, it is always nice to get one up on Denchi on track.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it while you can get it, because you don't often get presented with the chance to do so.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, if you can disrupt Denchi somehow, if you can get him into a battle he doesn't want to be in, it's not a bad strategy. So it'll be interesting to see what Jared Knight does. Important to note, Chapman ahead of Vincent. So Vincent is pitted from the pack. Chapman was 3 seconds behind the pack, and wow, he's going to come out ahead. So that's quite a lot behind for Vincent. What's happened there?
He's got a penalty pit entry. He's up to 51 seconds on his stop.
Oh no, Rick Vincent, that cruels him.
That's
the end of his race.
We'll have a look, because it's a very tricky pit lane here, because it's got a bit of a chicane in it, and you think you can go faster than the chicane, but the thing is, the yellow cone comes up, so you maximise the chicane, you can't brake for the cone.
Yeah, that is a 40-second stop and hold for Rick Vincent. Easy. Jared's putting that Beamer where it doesn't deserve to be, according to Josh Zuno. And let's have a look at this. Rick Vincent, the pit lane. Let's have a look at the entry. Oh, he's gone after the white line.
I don't know if it's that. Normally it's the speeding in. He's
he'll get done
too
for
late.
speeding.
He's too late.
He'll get done for speeding.
Hazard, Snowden, Kai Hardley, and David Johnson and Tim Fuge all in the pits.
Yep. So 5 of them in pit lane at this point. Top 11 yet to stop. We play on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club from Fuji Speedway in Japan. 2 McLarens, a Ferrari, a Bimmer, a Ferrari, a Porsche in Thomas Martin, a Ferrari in Wayne Hewitt. The 3 championship leaders at the moment, a 3rd, 5th and 7th. Red Nick Wood is 8th. Alan Holgerson, Fred Kahn, the top 10. And yeah, you've got to be right on the white line with regards to that pit lane entry speed. Anything beyond that, a millimetre or 2, and it's curtains. Forget about it.
Yeah, it's Sam Chapman just getting out 5 seconds ahead of Andrew Hazard, so that puts him theoretically somewhere in the top 10, depending on how that gap between Hazard and the top 8. It changed in between them making their pit stops, although, important to note again, Hazard pitting on lap 26 minutes gone. I don't think he's going to be able to make the end from there, but he's certainly used less fuel than Chappers in that first stint. So we can see if that reaps the benefit come the end of the race. And here we go. This is the first of our leaders coming into pits. That's John Merritt and Jared Knight. Thomas Martin, who are all coming into the pits.
All right, 4 different manufacturers on pit road right now. McLaren, Bimmer, Porsche and Ferrari all on pit lane in the form of Merritt, Knight, Martin and Hewitt. We're on lap 17. Brooke Turner continues to lead and Danchi's just pushing him along.
Just to give an idea of how harsh the pit lane penalties are in iRacing, and they really should be reviewed because they are a bit over the top.
Yep.
That stop for Rick was ended up total stop time only 7 seconds less than David Bass's tow.
Yeah, wow.
So David Bass towed to the pits, and he was out 7 seconds later. So that's just very, very harsh.
Oh, well, actually, in saying that, Baz actually escaped from the service, so I don't know whether he stayed stationary the whole time. So we might need to look at that as well. And well, actually, more to the point, Baz didn't actually have that far to be towed either. He was only parked up on the main straight. So, yeah, it's all relevant. It's all relevant. Now, top 4 yet to stop. If they can get this lap and one more in, there's a real chance that they can do it on one stop. But in saying that as well, boys, the other interesting point here is if they can get it to 18 and do it in one stop, they might just drag the field to that 36th lap because they'll lose 45, 50 seconds of transit time. Down the main straight. Into pit lane goes Turner. And also in goes Simon Cox. And surprise, surprise, Danchi plays on.
Danchi's going to be the only person able to do this on a one-stop then.
It's still going to be line ball if he comes in next lap, though.
It's going to be line ball if he comes in next lap. Absolutely, it's going to be line ball if he comes in next lap. But in saying that, the other concern is wherever he rejoins, he might not have the tow. He might not have the support to be able to do the saving that he's been doing.
Also, another one who's had a good pit stop phase, Wayne Hewitt jumped a few here. Out ahead of Jared, no?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so those that pitted is Merritt, Hewitt, Knight, Chapman, Martin, Hazard, Holgerson.
So in goes, out goes John Merritt, past the start-finish line to reclaim second. Simon Cox rejoins in third. Wayne Hewitt to fourth. Wayne Hewitt, the big winner in all of that. But we know that all those guys, whoa, have a look at the logjam. Have a look at the congestion here. Turn on the inside of Hewitt. Turn to the fourth. Up around the outside to turn 3.
So interestingly, Turner's taken a full tank of gas, but a lot of the other guys didn't.
Yeah.
So Merritt, Cox,
and
Hewitt, they all took a little bit less fuel.
even more interestingly, that brings me to the next point, Liam Banks. Those guys, have a look at 90. Have a look at 90. Trying to get by Wayne Hewitt. Elbows out, around the outside he goes, and then he concedes.
So
Knight will yield for the moment, and across comes Wayne Hewitt. Now, just quickly, so Denchi's into pit lane. That's point number 1 at the end of lap 18. Well, let's see where he comes out relative to everybody else. And I'm suspecting it'll be a full fuel, considering all the evidence and facts and stats presented before us in this half hour so far. We've clocked half an hour. We've just gone past half race distance. The other interesting point here is that by short fueling, pretty much everyone that got to 17 when the target was 18 has conceded defeat. They will go for a two-stop strategy. Anyone that fueled long there, like Luke Turner, he can leave it as late as he likes, like lap 34 maybe, before he comes to pit lane. So a couple of different strategies playing out already. And here goes Jared Knight down on the inside of Wayne Hewitt. This is E5, and Knight will get Hewitt down on the inside to turn 1. Got him. Job done. Dench returns out on the racetrack in third place. But that balances out if everybody else comes to pit lane. 19.05 seconds. That balances out once everybody else transits the lane a second time. And if he can latch back onto Simon Cox, he'll get a toe. So he'll be able to strategically weave his way to get another Dench masterpiece, Liam Banks.
It'll be so interesting to see how this unfolds, because if he wants to catch up to Cox and Merritt and get the toe off them, he's going to have to catch 2 cars that are running less fuel. Merritt in particular, he's got 5 seconds less fuel in the car than Dench. So the outright pace in that McLaren should be more than what is in Dench's Ferrari, and he's 2.3 seconds behind, which means he's not going to be getting much for toe at the moment. So if Dench's got a choice, does he see if he can make it to the end without a toe? That seems like a long shot. Does he burn some fuel to try and catch Cox? Can he catch Cox without burning fuel? Or does he just let Turner get ahead of him and sit behind Turner? Which is dangerous, because they're on a very, very similar strategy. Both took full fuels, only a lap between the two full tanks, only a lap between the 2 of them. Saying he's stuck between a rock and a hard place is probably overstating it a bit much. This isn't ideal for Dench, and I do think his strategy might rely on having a toe to the end, because it's so borderline on fuel.
This race just got really spicy, really interesting, Adam.
Indeed, yeah. Liam brings some good points here. We know Dench can still fuel save by himself, but having that person to tow with gives you that little bit extra for free. So now he's got to work for all of it at the moment. And we saw that he didn't quite get to the half an hour part, so we know he's going to do at least the same, if not more than the last one. Because the only thing that's a little bit in his favour is there was a little bit of fuel, obviously, under the roll-up lap. So that sort of comes back to him.
That's right. Yeah.
But whether that's enough to do an extra lap, or at least 1 extra lap, maybe even 2 laps, depending on when they cross the line, it's going to be hard to find out.
Yeah, and if you're Merritt, right? If you're Merritt, if you're Simon Cox, I'm thinking, if this race is borderline laps, if I can stretch it 1 more lap, that might be what undoes Dench's strategy.
And that's a good point as well, because as I'm doing the numbers here, remember, actually, Adam Lavis, you might be able to help us. The transit time in pit lane from the control line to pit exit. Do we have a rough idea of how long that was for Denchi?
So his 19-second stop took basically 53 seconds, and then you got to take a little bit off.
Okay.
So that's
yeah, you're taking 34 seconds off that.
And then you take a bit off that, so it'd be about 25-second transit loss. Would be like actually best things look at the times, like in lap time. Hang on.
Yeah. So no, because I'm just saying now, because I said earlier that if you go on a minute 40, it's 36 laps, bang on 1 hour. But obviously, we've already added a little bit of time for the pit transit. But what's more interestingly occurring here for me, from a numerical standpoint, is that we may end up going to 37 anyway. If we continue on this trajectory and Dench does try the one stopper. And I say that because, I'm still hedging the bets on 36, but the problem is the pace hasn't gone out of this race. They're still clocking high 38s to very low 39s. There is no drop-off in pace or outright lap speed to this point of the race, and we're 35 minutes in. So that's the other thing that I was weighing into the calculations. I thought there might be a bit of pace drop-off. There has not been.
So I've just used Denchi's lap times. So it's the 2 laps that are using in an air lap cost him 45 seconds compared to his taking on 9s basically. Then you minus the 19 seconds for the stop. So it's 26 loss just for transiting a lane.
Copy that. It's all of a sudden got very interesting here. Edgy seat, knife edge type stuff, Banksy.
Yeah, and at the moment, Dench not able to go with the pace of Merritt and Cox, who's got down to 3.2 seconds behind, and Turner's also not overtaking him, whether that's deliberate or this is just Luke Turner's pace. Not sure, and Sam Chapman's in for an early final pit stop. 25 minutes to go. Did pit earlier than everybody else and didn't take a full tank of fuel, so decided to just see if he could run a bit higher for a bit of the race, and he's paying his invoice now. That strategy could go back to Turner, and it's an interesting one for sure. And the good thing for Dench is he can afford to lose a pit stop worth of time. This is one thing we have to remember. He doesn't need to run at the pace of the leaders. He just needs to run at a pace that means he doesn't fall a full pit stop behind, which is a lot of time around here. So that could be his saving grace. His 3.7 seconds. That's not a pit stop. That's much less than a pit stop right now.
Indeed. So Merritt, Cox, Dench, Turner, Knight. McLaren 1 and 4, Ferrari 2 and 3, BMW 5, the 2 Porsches are 7 and 8. So there's 4 Ferraris, 2 McLarens, 2 Bimmers, 2 Porsches in the top 10. And the Audi of Scott Wooden brings up the tail of the field, having already stopped one more time than everybody else. So he's made a rod for his own back for the rest of the night. He's in 20th place. We had 21 starters. David Baz parked up early, retired. Josh Zuno's obviously in race control. So Dave Riddell did not start. So there's the explanation of where the other 3 have gone. And we are down to 20. Everybody's still on the lead lap, however. Wooden is in danger of being lapped any tick at the clock here by John Merritt, who holds a 1.4 second advantage over Simon Cox. And then Luke Turner's pushing Matt Dench along at the moment. And I reckon Dench would not mind if Luke Turner found a way by here. It would help him with all that strategic gamesmanship we were talking about a few moments ago.
Yeah, and if you're Luke Turner, you're doing the calculation in your head, aren't you? You go saying, I want to beat Denchi. Does overtaking him help that or hurt that? Because it could be either way. As silly as that sounds in a race, being ahead of Denchi might not be the place to be right now. Right behind him, not giving him the toe might be the better place for overall speed. But then, of course, if Denchi's going slower, that's going to be slowing up Turner to stay behind him. So, difficult decision to be made in that blue and yellow McLaren right now. Behind these guys, you've got Jared Knight in the Beamer, and then Wayne Hewitt in the Ferrari, and you can see some of his main rivals on 3rd place in the championship ahead. So he's going to be full of beans to try and make this work. He pitted a couple of laps earlier than Denchi, 1 lap earlier than Turner, and did not take a full tank of fuel. So, well, as far as we can tell, so going to be interesting to see what he does. He should have more pace than the guys ahead, but he's going to have to pay an invoice in the stops, and his next stop could be a little bit sooner than everybody else's. I imagine we will see him in the next lap or two.
Out of curiosity, did we confirm, was Denchi's in lap the end of lap 18 or the start of lap
18? The end of lap 18. The end of lap 18. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think unfortunately for the other guys, he might be alright. Because it looks like if he averages 39s, like 39 deads, he's basically on the bubble of getting the 37, so he can quite easily back off. And then the other guys are only going to be able to do 35.5, so that's still 36 laps unless Denchi gets the 37 himself. And he's already done 18, which is half, so he's probably all right as long as he doesn't trigger the extra lap.
Yeah, well, that's right, and that is the catalyst at the moment. That's the unknown. That's that's the tricky patch that we're trying to work our way through here. We've just started the 41st minute of play. We're about to end lap 24. So on those numbers, I think we're going to be okay. I don't think we can get to 37 from here. I don't think we can get to 37 from here. 22 seconds into that final third of the race, and only 12 laps to go, and they're not gonna. I think now we can sit comfortably on 36, and that brings it right back into Dench's favour.
And I wonder if Dench just realised the same thing, because he's just put in his best lap for a little while at 138.8, matching the pace of the leaders just about. So wonder if he's realised the same thing and decided he doesn't need to save quite as much fuel as he thought, or whether that's just him nailing his corners.
No, knowing Denchi, he'll still want to save enough fuel to give himself the last 3 laps at full blast to get the fastest lap.
That's correct. That's true. Oh, so it's just opening up nicely for Matt Dench here at the moment. He's got Luke Turner for company. Luke Turner's got Jared Knight and Wayne Hewitt for company. We've picked up Fred Kahn in 12th place all over the back of Rob Hill. So 0.65 the margin, merit to Cox. Interesting to see now, boys, where the games start with regards to those that come in and splash and dash or top the tanks up to get the checkered flag. There are some, like Luke Turner, that only need a drop of fuel to get home. There are others that are going to need a good chunk. So in the next 10 minutes, expect plenty of action along pit lane. Turner under pressure from Knight and Hewitt now. So you got a McLaren versus a Bimmer versus a Ferrari. Have a look at the straight line poke of the Bimmer and the slipstream in the McLaren. Knighty again, like everybody else playing the game, will be happy to sit there, I'm sure. Actually, no, he's not. He's not content to sit there. He pulls the Bimmer to the inside, pulls the trigger, and goes to 4th. That wasn't in the script. That was not expected. I thought Knighty might just sit there and allow Luke Turner to drag him along a little bit longer. No, he's ready to go racing.
Yeah, this is the Jared Knight we'd like to see. He's got Wayne Hewitt right behind him. Wayne Hewitt's surely going to try and follow him through as soon as he gets an opportunity provided to him by Turner. And what those two have seen is they have seen Denchi pulling away from Turner, and they've decided, no, we've got to go with Denchi. Particularly as they're on a different strategy. Sitting behind the cars on the alternate strategy, trying to save fuel, isn't going to help them. They need to push, and they need to show their pace. I
think Luke might be trying to stretch the 19 lap stick to get on himself here.
I think you're probably right. Which is ambitious, very ambitious. And this is Fred Kahn trying to go up the inside. Bit feisty there.
That was just the perfect amount of room left by Rob Hill there to keep that position.
Yeah, it's very close to chopping off the nose, wasn't it? But just left enough room there. Just goes to show that even these guys battling for 12th, it means just as much to them as it does to the guys in front of them. John Merritt's in the pit. Our leader is in the pit lane. The question now is where is he going to feed back out? Because he's one of the first to blink. Only Chapo, the first of the genuine lead runners to have their second stop. It should have come out ahead of Chapman, because Chapman's been battling with traffic and was at the back of that top 10 anyway when he made the pit stop, but just how far ahead is he going to be?
3/10 quicker stop.
Yeah, and coming out 8 seconds ahead of Rick Vincent. 13 ahead of Chapo. Importantly, he got 10 seconds of nice clean air to drive into. So that's going to be good for his pace. You're running a 2-lap strategy. You need to run at absolute pace the whole time to make it work. If you're stuck behind the cars, you may as well be saving fuel. And Merritt's got the pace and the free track to make that strategy work to its optimum.
What a difference a lap makes. Fred went from being the hunted to the hunted with Dane Stedden making a move there.
And Snadden with that distinct yellow BMW. Holding on to 11th at the moment, but again, the field isn't completely cleansed and sorted here. Variants of different strategies playing out. 14 and a half minutes to go now. We've just started lap 28. Wayne Hewitt to pit lane. He's the first Ferrari from the top end of town to jump onto pit road for the second time. We're not expecting Dench on pit road again. We've seen John Merritt come through. Everybody beyond John Merritt, with the exception of Hewitt, is now in the window to come in and top up and get home. And Dane Snadden sitting there in 10th place, being pushed along by Fred Kahn. The exception is Dench. We expect him to go through to the checkered flag without stopping again in what would yet be another terrific performance and well thought out race from the Dench mark.
And this is a problem for everybody going the 2-stop route. We saw Merritt was in the lead of the race, comfortable lead over Cox and Dench. He is 41.6 seconds off the lead. That's 35 seconds off Dench. That's 35 seconds that Dench can spend to save fuel. That's a lot of fuel saving when there's only 13 and a half minutes of this race to go. John Merritt still the lead of those that pitted. Wayne Hewitt in second place of those that pitted, 3.6 seconds ahead of Chapman's. Chapman's early stop. Just judging off the numbers, looking like it might work for him. It'd be interesting to see where everybody else in the top 8 feeds out once they take their pit stop. Simon Cox and Thomas Martin, the latest drivers to go into pit lane. Cox pitting from the lead of the race, so Denchi is now in the lead, and it is the genuine lead, we believe, because we do not think he will need to make another stop this race. I did wonder for a while if Simon Cox might try and make it to the end of the race, as we suspect Luke Turner might be with them both pitting on lap 17, but Simon Cox definitely not feeling that's available and just trying to maximise his time to the end of the race from here. And he's come out ahead of John Merritt by a couple of seconds. So that's an effective overtake in the pit strategies by Simon Cox, who's taken 3.5 seconds less fuel than Merritt, so he's able to save more fuel going at a similar pace. And that's Fred Kahn getting all over the curbs and having a little spin, but manages to keep it on the black stuff, and he'll be able to continue on with just the time loss and nothing more. Although that has meant he's definitively fallen behind in his battle that he was having with Snadden.
Nice bit of driving. Oh, jeez. Unlucky. I mean, Snadden got through cleanly, but it was the aftermath that wasn't so clean. And then David Johnson looping it on the approach towards the penultimate corner of the racetrack. So, Dench now the leader. Colour me surprised. Dench the leader, Knight second, Turner third. I think 20 laps is a bridge too far for 90. I think 19 might be doable for Turner, but by G, he's going to have to pull up all stops to make that happen. And the other uncertainty here now is... Oh, geez. Have a look at the clock when they come across the line. I think we're going to be okay. I think we're only going to go 36. But you would never know with Matt Dench. The pace is still around that 138, 139 marker. He's half a lap away from home and he's half a minute away from 10 minutes. I think, given the pace we've seen so far, 39 and a half, anything south of 9:57 will get us home in 6 laps. So we can now rub 37 out of the equation. I partially rubbed it out a few moments ago. Oh, Fred Kahn.
I think he's done civil limits on by himself.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that car does not like to ride the curbs. Just running to be able to ride those curbs with any sort of comfort, and just unsettling the car. Did well to actually collect it, get back on track in the safest manner possible, and again, just take time as his only penalty, which is what you want to do as soon as you leave the car. As soon as you lose traction, that's your main priority. Just make sure it's only time that you lose, and that you don't compound it by hitting the wall or spinning round and really putting yourself up a creek without a paddle. Andrew Hazard, the latest of our front runners to come into the pits. This is 90 pressuring Denchi for the lead. We do believe Knight's going to have to make another stop. No way he's going to be able to make it to the end from lap 16. But it's a nice badge of honour to say that you led the race. And it shows here of how fast Denchi and Turner are going, because we believe both of them. Denchi for certain is trying to make the end of this race, and they are going at the same pace as Jared Knight, who's one of the fastest customers in this championship, and he is pushing because we do believe he will be pitting again, so there's no reason for him to be doing too much fuel saving.
So Dench, Knight, Turner, Holgerson and Wood the top 5, and then Cox, Merritt, Kahn, Martin and Hewitt the top 10 at the moment. Hazard, Chapman 11 and 12, Snadden coming back out into the racetrack in 14th behind Rob Hill. Kai Ardley makes up the top 15. We've lost David Baz, but Tim Fuge has gone a lap down in all of this. In 20th position. Everybody else still on the lead lap. Scott Wooden barely. He's about to go a lap down here as Dench... Actually, that's interesting, isn't it? Here comes 90 to pit lane. So 90's conceding defeat. He goes to pit lane and then Dench continues on. Turner goes with him. 5 laps to go. And now Dench is able to just save a little bit of juice and grab a toe from Scott Wooden. So now it becomes even more tactful, even more strategic, even more intriguing, because Scott Wooden could go a lap down here, and we probably expect him to come to pit lane and he'd tick at the clock. Dench, Turner, Holgerson, Wood and Knight the top 5.
Foxy's actually coming out well in front of Dench, in front of Merritt.
And Merritt both coming out ahead of Knight. Fred Kahn there in 7th right now in the middle of this battle. Hope he realises that this isn't a genuine battle for him. He's going to need to pick everybody around him is cleansed. So the clever thing to do will be just try to learn from these guys, probably let 90 pass and see if he can keep it up. Kahn, one of the only cars not to make the second stop with Holgerson and Wood with Dench and Turner. Undetermined whether they'll need a second stop, although we've said multiple times what we think is going to happen. So the current cleanse order would be, let's say Dench and Turner, then Cox, Merritt, Knight, Martin, Hewitt, Hazard, Chapman. 6 minutes and 20 seconds to go. only a second between Dench and Turner at the front of the field, so Turner is going to the end. There's still a live battle going on there, although I would... it'd be a big ask for Turner to get to the end. Alan Holgson now becomes the next driver going into the pits. I wonder if Nick Wood will follow him in. No, Nick Wood's going to go around one more time. Nick Wood put in a lap 17, so he could be going for a one stop. If he's feeling very brave. And that's Fred Khan into the pits as well. So we will have what is effectively a cleansed field with Dench, Turner and Wood unknown whether they'll need a second stop. Final track. This is Snadden trying to defend from Kai Ardley. Kai Ardley starting at the back of the field. Wasn't able to maintain that leader's pace quite, and had a couple of scruffy laps. So he's made it up to 15th from 21st and looking to make that a 14th from 21st. And Khan looking like he might feed out directly into Spell. No, he's going to feed out behind.
So this is an intriguing battle for 13th. And again, Kai Ardley, who started 21st, has gained 7 spots tonight. Looks now to go down the inside, but can't get the job done. Snadden holds on again. As far as movers and shakers are concerned tonight, in comes Luke Turner. So he pulls the trigger. He pulls the pin on trying to get to the checkered flag. Matt Dench soldiers on. And he's got his way to the front now, so it doesn't necessarily matter. He's done what he needed to do. Can he go another 3 laps here and get the job done? We're on the way home to the checkered flag. Fuji, Japan. And have a look at Ardley now, trying to get down the inside. Got him. Ardley gets by on Snadden. Goes to P13. Nick Wood goes to second as Turner pulls up in pit lane. Nick Wood still expected to stop again, though. Up 8 spots at this point. Jared Knight only up 2 to this point, but he has pitted. He is good to go to the checkered flag. And now 90 down the outside. Tuck in behind Luke Turner. So that battle's on again for 5th in the motor race. Effective 5th. It could be 4th, depending upon what happens to Nick Wood here. 2 positions gained for Andrew Hazard, 2 for Rob Hill, 8 for Kai Ardley, and 3 for Dane Snadden. They're the big movers of the night. No real big losers, with the exception of Rick Vincent down 12 spots as a result of that pit lane stop and hold.
Yeah, one thing that might, if Nick is trying to stretch this, the only thing that might go against him is he's only got a 6-second gap over Simon Cox. So he's doing 40s and they're doing high 38s, low 39s. So he might be alright, but if he does need to increase that fuel saving, he could come under pressure.
The other thing is just look at that final sector and how uphill it is. It's not conducive if you're close but don't quite make it. If you don't quite make it, you're not making it on the fuel with that uphill final sector. If you had a nice downhill final sector, you'd be like, oh well, I might be able to roll it, go sit to the flag if I need to. That's not going to be an option. You need to have the fuel or you're not going to get there. So if it's borderline, you might miss out just due to the elevation changes on this track.
And also the finish line is a long way from the last corner too, just to coast.
They're just going to make it. He's up to his pace. 1:38.6 on the last lap. That is a surefire mark. He's confident to get into the end.
2 laps to go. Not where are we with regards to the fastest laps of the race? 139s, 138s, 138s, 138.96.
Coxey with a 4.6.
Coxey, yep, 138.46. So no one has gone faster than that. Dench is now about 2nd fastest on the racetrack. That's not bad at all. 3rd fastest, actually, Wayne Hewitt, 138.638. The only other one faster than Simon Cox and Matt Dench at this point in time. So 3 of them in striking distance here. Dench will try his best when he comes back to the line and gets the white flag next time by. And that is now definite. We're 1.5 minutes to go. He will come up onto the main straight now across the start-finish line, see the white flag if Barney's on deck, or he might be on strike, I'm not sure. Across the line we go. Dench has one to go. Can he punch out the fastest number of the night? He's getting close. 1 minute 38.502. He's 400ths of a second away from Simon Cox. 400ths of a second away from the fastest lap of the motor race. And he could just about do it on this final lap and do a one-stopper all the way to victory lane. Laughing every step.
The only thing is, Dench does like to cool his tyres before his fast lap. He's just done 2 hot laps in a row. Nick Wood has conceded defeat. He's in the pit lane.
That was an 18-lap stint from Wood as well. That was a real solid run. Incredible. John Merritt to 3rd. Luke Turner to 4th. Jared Knight to 5th. Then Thomas Martin to 6th. Nick Wood will pop back out in probably 7th, 8th, 9th. Could even be 10th because Alan Holgerson's going to come on by. It will be 10th. 11th now for Nick Wood. That's unfortunate. Solid run, but it brought undone by just not being able to go 1 lap longer in the opening stint. Relentless pace early in this race. In fact, the pace hasn't really wavered. One man has been able to maintain that and get mileage more than anybody around him. His name is Matt Dench. This is a clinical performance once more. Last turn, checkered flag. Denchy onto the main straight. Dench to victory lane. Dench with one hand on the title. Dench wins round 8. On the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Waste Options GT3. And he is the superstar on a Monday night, and he has been for a long, long while.
Didn't get lapped though. That was a 5-1.
Title number 8 is within reach. He hasn't got the fastest lap of the race though, but he's ticked at just about every other box he needed to tick tonight, and I think he'll take that because he's proven yet again just how far and above and beyond he is. He's a cut above the rest. 36 laps done, and he wins by 34 3/4 seconds. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. Extraordinary. 354 for Dench, 292 for Cox, and 244 for Wayne Hewitt. That's how things stood coming into this round. So with Cox finishing second, he's still keeping Dench honest. And you just get the feeling, Banksy, that unless something untoward happens next week, to Simon Cox, he could still mathematically be in contention. I mean, it'd be a long shot, but he could force Dench to arrive and drive at Mount Panorama just to secure the title.
The problem with that assertion is, I think...
Oh, Snadden! Can he get it? Snadden, no! Snadden had a lunge, but couldn't get it.
No, it was the other way around. Fred had the lunge and Snadden either ran out of...
Fred Kahn. It was Fred Kahn.
I think
wow.
Snadden's either lifted or ran out of fuel there.
So, I couldn't quite pick up who the other car was, but Fred Kahn, have a look at this. Snadden and Fred Kahn. So it was Fred Kahn pulling out.
He's out of fuel.
And Snadden out of fuel.
Coughed on the line.
I wondered how he did that so easily.
Well, actually, maybe... I think he might just let him go, because he seems to be right now. That might be just a bit of a common courtesy from Dane there.
Well, there you go. Sorry to jump in there, Banksy, but high drama in the closing stages and the fight for, 14th place. It was a battle for the minors, but an interesting one at that. So, 4 Ferraris, 2 Porsches, 2 Bimmers, and 2 McLarens in the top 10. Dench, Cox, Merritt, Turner, Knight. Merritt, Turner, Knight separated by, only about a second between the 3 of them. Have a look at that. That is exceptional stuff. 0.994 of a second separating 3rd and 5th in this race. Close finish between those guys. Great work from Hot Lap to be back on the podium in a category that was once his mantelpiece, before Dench took the reins. Thomas Martin in for 6, Wayne Hewitt, Andrew Hazard, Sam Chapman, Alan Holgis in the top 10. Nick Wood dropped out to 11th. That was unlucky for him. Rob Hill, Kai Ardley. Then Fred Kahn, Dane Snadden, Rick Vincent, David Johnson. Stephen Gallacher was a lap down, as was Tim Fuge, Scott Wooden. David Baz, retirement. Dave Riddell, a non-starter. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way we roll on a Monday night in Japan.
really intriguing strategic battle we've been treated to tonight. And the key question for all of the drivers in this race is, could I, with 34 seconds, because that's the lead that Denchi had in the end, if I'd gone, could I spend that time to not do the second pit stop? Like, if you're Turner, if you're Turner, if you're Merritt, if you're Simon Cox, and you're one of those drivers that are in the battle for the lead, are you looking at that gap and thinking, I really miscalculated? Because I guarantee you, they'll be looking at that and thinking, if I had 34 seconds to play with, I could have made it to the end on one stop. Surely. So...
Yep. That's true. That's very true.
I think there were a few drivers going back tonight and thinking, you know what? He was beatable tonight. He was... I think... When you look at the numbers like that, it's hard to argue... Oh, I mean, Denji, like, props to him. He drove fantastically, had a game plan, he executed it to perfection. Those drivers that were going 2 stops, they didn't have the pace to make up much time on him at all. But, yeah, I wonder if there'll be a few drivers just thinking, I really wish I'd committed. I really wish I committed to it, because there are a few that look like they might, and then just pit a lap too early. And I wonder if they're thinking, you know what, that lap of fuel was there. Either that, or they might come in and say, you know what, it absolutely wasn't. Don't know how Denji did it. Really interesting to find out.
I'm sure we'll find out from him in only a few moments' time, because, surprise, surprise, it's actually rare. He's first cab off the rank. He's first into the booth for the post-race show. He is the championship leader and the race winner, Matt Dench. Wow, what a performance from you, my friend. So well done. Pole position, converted it into victory. Simon Cox went with you every step of the way. Got himself second from second on the grid. Clinical once more. When did you know? When did it become apparent that you could, with a lot of coasting and a lot of compromise, pull this off on one stop?
When we jumped on the grid, like my fuel calculator was telling me I only needed to save 10 litres to make halfway, so I said, let's have a crack at it.
All right, very nicely done. Now, early, you led the race, but then you relinquished the lead. You allowed Luke Turner and John Merritt to slip on by and pull the weight and pull the train along with them. I take it there was a bit of gamesmanship and tactics at stake there.
Yeah, I think if I had a led all the way to that first pit stop, we probably wouldn't have made that extra lap, and we wouldn't have. We would have been in the same boat as everyone else having to stop again. So.
Well, that's exactly right, and we're looking at Aaron Cooper asking the question: weren't you meant to be in the Ford this season? No, we challenged him to the Ford for the last race of last term, and he still carved the competition up. So no, he will get into the Ford eventually, but I think he's actually waiting for the Ford to become a Mustang, not a GT. So we will hold our breath and wait for that one, I'm sure. In saying that, though, Denchi, and we've got Greg Heaney standing on by to give us an update from the AM split. We've got Sam Chapman here to have a chat to us as well post-race with a top 10 finish for him too. But in saying all that, in the early stages of the second stint, how much of a struggle, how much of a tussle was that for you, considering that you came out with no one really to pull you along?
It was fine in that last stint. It was I think if we had pushed really fast, we could have squeezed an extra lap out of in the race, but with all the fuel saving in the first stint, it was never going to go that extra lap. So yeah, that second stint was quite alright. We had two laps at the end there to try and grab the fastest lap, but we just cooked it into the last sector and slide the car a little bit. So yeah, we got close. We got like half a tenth from it, but
yep. Yeah, 400ths of a second, actually. I mean, a phenomenal effort from you. Well done. And you weren't 100% sold on Fuji when it was first released on the schedule. Are you starting to warm to it?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, he's still won by 35 seconds, but he's not warming to the circuit. I think that says everything it needs to with regards to this bloke and what he's doing in this club, on this server, on this stage, on this night of the week, and he's been doing it for, the better part of 2 years now. Banksy, I'm out of breath, I'm out of voice. The guy's a magician. I'm sure you've got a couple of questions you want to ask him.
Were you surprised that nobody really went for the one stop like you did?
I think they probably were, considering like they followed me, they knew what I was up to. I'm sure they were looking at the lap counts and that as well, but yeah, they couldn't quite grab that extra lap. So.
And did you think there would be a threat from the two stoppers, or were you pretty confident the two stopper would just be way too slow?
The pit lane in here is pretty long, so yeah, like I'd have to go exceptionally slow to make the one stop not work.
Okay. So for those drivers that you think might have been going for the one stop and just not able to do it in the end, was there anything you were doing that they might not be doing? Like, is it just the commitment of lifting off, early enough? Is it you were fuel saving into a certain corner that maybe isn't an obvious fuel saving opportunity, or is it just the fine tuning to get to that level where you can do a one stopper compared to those drivers that we think probably were trying to do it but just unable to make the fuel last?
You really need to commit from when you jump in the car. So like, yeah, like as soon as you jump in the car, coming up to the line, you need to commit to the fuel, like to that one-stop strategy, and you need to not get caught up in trying to race other people for the position.
And final question from me, and when you came out after that first stop, and you came out in clean air, 2.3 seconds behind, I think it was Simon Cox ahead, and then just ahead of Turner behind you. Did you think you might be in a bit of trouble about having a car to tow you along, or were you always confident that with or without the tow it was going to be fine?
I mean, like with like 30 seconds to play with, you can always lift the coast a whole lot more if you really need to. But yeah, we just sort of kept more or less doing the same thing as we did in the first stint, and yeah, it was alright.
Yeah, were you hoping for a tow though, or did you not care?
I mean, a tow would have been nice. You could have saved up an extra lap and had 3 attempts at the fastest lap at the end there. But
Oh, so we'll put that down. We'll put the not getting the tow down to one of the reasons we didn't get the fastest lap. There we go. That's something the field can take heart from this race.
Denchi, next week, we've got a few more drivers lining up to come and have a chat to us here. John Merritt's here, Paul Wood's here, Luke Turner's here, Aidan Schultz is here. We'll get to those guys in just a moment. Denchi, next week, Watkins Glen, the boot, sprint racing. I mean, surely it can't be any worse than the start at Lebanon in race 2 last week, but you do have a history of coming undone in a sprint race at Watkins Glen, and twice.
Yeah, we just got to try and stay out of trouble at the start of in the second races, and sometimes you just can't get away from the incidents. But yeah, hopefully we get a bit of luck on our side and can make it through.
All right, mate. Now, with regards to the margin of Simon Cox in the championship, he was second coming into the round. He's still going to be second. He's still going to be within an earshot. There's still mathematically a chance that you can wrap this thing up next week. But it's looking more likely if Coxie can keep it on the black stuff and keep it straight, that this title fight will, mathematically speaking, go all the way to Bathurst.
Yeah, it should be really good if the points are on the table there for last round battle. So yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. We'll let you go. Actually, on the way out, one last comment from your tyre wear tonight. One comment I made during the broadcast, and I think you can verify it. The pace didn't really go out of the track or the tyres tonight. They must have held up well.
I think if you push from start to finish, you're going to hurt your tyres quite a lot. With all the fuel saving we were doing, at that halfway mark, my tyres were like 83 all around, so that was pretty good.
All right, very nicely done. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the master, the benchmark once more. Well done, Matt. Thank you. Congratulations. See you next week.
Thanks. We'll see everyone then.
Will we see you on Thursday in the Porsche or not?
What track are we doing?
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't have the schedule in front of me at the moment.
I do have the schedule in front of me.
Liam Banks does.
Mate, this track is getting a workout already. Twice in
Fuji.
1
I
week.
think it's Fuji, isn't it? Yeah. We're back here. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Well, what's more interesting about that is that Banksy will verify this. At the start of the season, Dench sat here on a Thursday night, spoke to me and said, look, we're not giving the title a full crack in the Porsches this season, but he's still very much there within a chance if he turns up to Fuji on Thursday night. So I'll let you go away and contemplate that. And if we see you Thursday night, we see you. If not, next Monday.
Yeah, that'll be a dice roll, so 50-50.
I thought so. Good on you, mate. Thank you.
See.
That's brilliant. I love it. Even someone as classy as Denchi has his Sebring. Hello, Nick Photiartis. Excellent stuff. All right, let's move around the room. And I'll go in order of how everybody turned up here. So I think Chapo was next. Just a cab off the rank, followed closely by Greg Heaney. In fact, Greg, Aiden, stay with me, boys, because I'll get the AM split results up on the screen very shortly. In the meantime, Chapo, well done. Second BMW home, 9th place. Tough slog.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tough slog tonight. Just didn't quite have the pace out there, and then we were just sort of stuck in that train and got fighting. That put it back a bit. And then I tried a bit of a different strategy of splitting it all up so I could take all the tyres, and it just sort of didn't quite all work out in the end because that train at the front was running pretty good times altogether.
Obviously last week on top of the summit in the second race in Lebanon, everyone else happy to see the back of the circuit, but you obviously will take the W where you can get it. In saying that, hard to back that up, especially when you got Denchi doing trademark things with regards to fuel saving and the like at the top end of town. As far as the rest of the night was concerned, what stood out for you? Because one thing I did notice was that you went a little bit early on that second stop.
Yeah, I was trying to do it in a way that I could get all 4 tyres without losing time. But as you sort of said, the track didn't really lose much pace. It was sort of at a temperature level where the tyres weren't really losing that much pace unless you're really pushing them. So that whole strategy didn't really pay off in any way. It didn't get stuck in too much traffic, although sort of came out into a bit of fighting with some of the guys that were a bit further up because I'd fueled a bit less. But it just sort of didn't really quite work out there. It wasn't bad, but wasn't like last week where everything just fell into place.
Certainly not. As far as the track's concerned, is this one that sits well with you, or is this one of those ones that you just needed to keep a clean sheet, get through it, tick the box, and move on?
It sits okay with me. Like I did the Fuji 8-hour that only went for 6 hours for us on the weekend.
That's right.
But did it in the Fez actually, and the difference is quite stark, particularly through that final sector. The Ferrari is just rotates so much more nicely, and you can just sort of put it where you want it to. Whereas you have to be a bit more brute force with the BM, a bit more understeer. So. It was an interesting comparison. I hadn't bought it before Friday, the Ferrari. So maybe that we're going to work out next season.
All right, done. As far as next week is concerned, let me get your thoughts firstly on Watkins Glen sprint racing there. I mean, as we say, you've gone all right in the sprint racing in recent weeks, but Watkins Glen's fraught with danger.
Watkins Glen is fraught with danger, but apparently so is Lebanon, and that's why I went up 10 spots. So we'll see what happens. I think sprint racing, it'll be great. It'll be good fun as long as we keep it on the black stuff. These guys have been pretty good, at least in recent weeks. I haven't seen too many major incidents, so hopefully that can be the case when we go back there next, because there was definitely a few in the Porsches last week when I was stressfully going through race control.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. What's next for you, please? I'll see you Thursday night, obviously. We're looking forward to the Vs and the Porsches. And as we just revealed, we're back here for the Porsches. But as far as Tuesday night and Wednesday night are concerned, what's coming up?
Should be back to give the GT4s a crack on Wednesday. I think, Zandvoort, so we'll do a few laps around there and give that a crack. Yeah, outside of that'll be it for now. And then it's the V's, which are at Villeneuve, so that'll be good fun.
Excellent. Well, I'll look forward to seeing you for that. Thanks, mate. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve Thursday night, can hardly wait. It'll make Fuji all the more easier because Daniel Correa will have to do the heavy lifting there, because if the last trip to Montreal is anything to go by in the V's, I'll be out of voice, out of breath. So enjoy the next couple of nights, mate. We'll see you Thursday.
Thanks, mate.
And the boys will see you Wednesday as well before that. Let's go to Paul Wood just quickly, because I know you'll have a result come up on the screen in a moment from the AM split, and I need to show everybody that in a second. But before we do, and actually there it is. Hey, so first for Woodsy, got Schultzy here from third place, and Greg Heaney fourth. So we've got 3 of the top 4 in the house to have a chat post race. That's excellent. And Woodsy, that makes up for the shocker you had at Chicago in the Supercar.
Yes, it does, because that was just me and that track were just not seeing eye to eye at all. So yeah, once I did that second hit in the wall, the car was knackered. So I thought, right, I might as well get some extra practice in the GT3. So I pulled the plug and come in here and got warmed up.
Jared Knight reckons the Bimmer had a hole in the fuel tank tonight. I'm not too sure. It might have been your own fuel tank, but not the other Bimmer. I'm not sure. We'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of it for you. Good on you, Nighty. Well done. 5th place, up 3 spots on where you started. Solid drive. Woodsy, I'll come back to you in a moment. I want to quickly get to. I'll put a full stop on the pro split here by having a chat with both John Merritt and Luke Turner. Let's bring them in at this point in time. The McLaren had some good poke tonight, gentlemen, no doubt about that. Great to have you back, Luke Turner, and great to see you again, John Merritt. And in the end, you guys finished within half a second of one another, and you only had 90 another half a second away. So even though Ferrari dominated at the top end of town, the fight was on in earnest for that last spot on the podium between 2 great manufacturers, and the McLarens seemed to handle this one all right, Luke.
Yeah, g'day, Zach. Nice to see you again.
Virtually, yes. Yeah.
Yes. The Mac was all right. There were some spots where I don't think it was as strong as the Ferrari, that last sector, but it comes off the corner really well. So once you get it pointed, you can just mash that pedal, and it's very hard for the person to pass you unless they got a slipstream. And thank you to John on the last lap, my teammate. He held back just to give me a draft on that last lap, so Jared couldn't get me. So it was a lot of fun. It's been a while.
Indeed it has. Been way too long, actually. You controlled that race nicely, but how early in the piece did you realise that you weren't going to quite make it on fuel and you had to come in and get the old top-up?
Like 1. As soon as I saw Matt pulling the big saves, I knew he wouldn't be doing it unless he could make it all the way. So I played the game for a little bit, and then I thought, I just got to do something different. So I passed him to sort of back him into John, and then John passed him, and then I was hoping everyone would tack him, feed him to the wolves. But everyone just played ball, so didn't quite work out. And so in the end, I knew I still had to make an extra stop, and I wasted all that time saving. And I'm like, and even when he was saving, he was faster than us anyway. So it's like,
exactly.
You got it.
You can't win and you can't lose. But in saying that, you actually were in a compromised position right from the outset, mate, because Denchi was holding about a 0.9 second buffer, and that meant that you were somewhat out of the tow. So you were pulling the rest of the train along, and then you decided to pull Denchi along as well. So at no point in that opening stint did you really get a chance to do any fuel saving at all.
Even when I was out front, I was doing very big lifts because I managed to get the extra lap on most other people, but I still couldn't quite get that extra lap that Matt got. He did very well. His ability to drive the car while saving fuel and holding pace is second to none. So I give him that because I could tell when he was lifting off early, I would have to hold the gas just a little bit longer just to keep it there. But when you strategically have that advantage, you play those cards either way, and you're still going to come out on top. So kudos to him. he does very well.
We know Johnny Merritt's stayed loyal to the McLaren. Do you have a soft spot for this car? Were you tempted to have a look at one of the other manufacturers? What went into the thought and decision process tonight, sticking with the McLaren here?
Oh yeah, I think Johnny and I both love a bit of the fire-breathing dragon. If you remember, like a gazillion years ago, I won the championship in the Macca, so it's got a very soft spot in the heart.
I was going to say, we're going back a few seasons now, absolutely, considering that this is, well, title number 8 in the offing for Matt Dench at the very least. Luke, stay there with me because I'm going to bring John Merritt in quickly to have a chat, and then I'm going to give Banksy the floor to ask you blokes a couple of questions here. John, well done. The old experienced hand of GT3. As Luke said, he's got a title here, but this was your baby before Denchi dethroned you, and you were the only one that really stood in the way. After Denchi came along, he was your bridesmaid there for a couple of seasons. Now he's on some sort of a march, and it's hard to stop him. Also hard to stop Simon Cox. Ferrari, the benchmark at the moment in GTs.
Yeah, probably echo Luke's sentiments there. It's the Ferrari certainly was a little stronger probably that last section, just spots on the track where the rotation helped it, but certainly nothing wrong with the Macca. I think take Denchi out of it and it would have been a good fight, but as Luke said, kudos to him to get that on me. In that case, he got extra 2 laps. Phenomenal effort.
That's it. And from your own standpoint, did you like the track? How was the tyre wear? What did you make of the race and how it played out for you?
Yeah, I don't mind the track. Probably not in the favoured track. If you ask me, we'll hold every round at Bathurst and I'd be pretty happy. But
yep. So would a few others actually.
Yeah.
Right there with you.
I think. Yeah. Look, we probably strategically maybe should have taken tyres too through the race, but and I probably got compromised a little bit just on an exit into a train into a couple of cars. Just in that fight with Simon Cox near the end, but apart from that, it was a good night and nice to come back and have a run in the GT3s.
Absolutely. The next question I've got for you: do we see you again for Watkins Glen or Mount Panorama? I'm assuming, considering what you just said about Mount Panorama, that you're hoping to be here in a fortnight. But what about next week?
Oh, mate, I'd take the smallest, lightest plane back to Echuca Town just to be there. Next week, just depending on commitments, I'll try and have a race, and always fun if there's a teammate along to have a crack with in Luke.
All right, very nicely done, Banksy. Fire away some questions at the McLaren duo for me.
Yeah, do you think there was? Do you think your strategy was optimal in the end? Do you think? Okay, if you did decide, okay, I can't go with Denchi, but I can still make this on one stop. I just need to fuel save more. Would that have been better overall race time in the end, and perhaps got you an extra position?
Yeah. Look, it probably would have yielded a second if we went the full save, but. For those that know me well, that's I don't really enjoy that sort of racing. So, no. If it's line ball and you can get one extra lap, 2 stints, yes, Liam. But for me, it would have been an unenjoyable night to do that. I think. Not sure Luke's opinion.
Yeah, that's a hard save to do. Probably looking. So if I look at the stopwatch, so Matt was 34 seconds up the road. So yes, probably would have made sense to do it, but I'm a bit like John. I want to race it, not baby it. Strategy-wise, would I have done differently? I probably should have just gone a bit harder at the start and not just pulled Matt along and save, because in the end I still had to make that extra stop. And in hindsight, I suddenly realised everyone changed tyres in the pit stop. I didn't realise that one. So that shows you how long I've been out of it for. So
we didn't realise.
Yeah, possibly should have changed the tyres because it was a bit slippery.
Yeah, no fuel saving or tyre swapping going to be required at Watkins Glen next week. Are we going to see you there? And will we definitely see you at the finale at Bathurst?
Well, I think I'll turn up with John with bells on for Bathurst. Yeah, I think the members of the crowd will be afraid there at McPhillamy with that McLaren coming over the top there. It's pretty how you going, a bit wild there. So I'll definitely be there. I'm not sure the other week yet. I've got a fair bit of travel coming up for work, so we'll see.
Excellent. Nothing else from me. Back to you, Zach.
All right, very nicely done. Luke, John, boys, thank you. Appreciate that. We'll press on here and have a look at how things played out for the AM split, boys, that are in the booth. 3 of the top 4 have joined us here, thanks to John and Luke, as per usual, and also Matt Dench and Sam Chapman. Now, as far as the rest of it's concerned, there we go. Paul Wood, Gary Cousins, Aidan Schultz, Greg Heaney, Dale Sharp, Adam Chiplin, Joe Trucker-Baldwin in 7th, William Yarwood, James Frencone, and Braden O'Loughlin. Tune in next week to race 1 of round 9 to see how the AM split boys fare. The final time we'll have them on broadcast this season. Greg Heaney, very nicely done, 4th place. But big margins between the top and the bottom of the tree here. 9 seconds between Woodsy and 2nd, and another 5 back to Aidan, and you were 7 seconds down the road. At what point did it become a processional and lonely sort of race for you? Because what we saw in the GT3 Pro race, the field was pretty well packed up. There were 8-car deep battles, or trains at least, in the first stint.
Well, I mean, I was doing about my average time. I participated in the 8-hour, which ran for 8 hours on Saturday.
Yes.
Aidan was actually in my split. He drove away from me in that one. Drove away from me again in this one. No, look, I was just happy to keep the thing pointing in the right direction. I think it was about halfway through the first fuel tank that I was just a matter of just try and eke the extra half a lap out so I can at least not have to stop early. So I've learnt my lesson from previous races to fuel save.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it was I'm just happy to have finished higher than I started and made it through on 2 stops. So I think just about the entire field from us in the AM split was making 2 stops. We weren't fuel saving anywhere near as much as Denchi. So,
well, I was going to say normally it's pretty clear that it takes a fair amount of save and a fair amount of skill set in Denchi's case to do it on 1 stop. It's rare that we see him do it on 1 stop. It's rare that we see a 1-stopper work in the AM split as well. Usually, it's a long shot if you do, in terms of achieving a result the way that Denchi did tonight. So, yeah, as you say, 2 stops becomes standard procedure there. How does that work for you with regards to the championship now, mate? That's a great result with 2 weeks to go. Are we building towards something big here?
Oh, I'm hoping so. I dropped 1 place in the overall scheme of things off the back of last week, but still happy with the end result there. So, look, I mean, if I can jump 1 or 2 spots over the next couple of weeks, I'll be happy with that. But, yeah, we'll see how we go.
Just having a look at the updated championship points there that Adam Lavis has actually put in for the AM split, I can tell you that only 44 points covers the top 4. So all to play for in the next 2 weeks. Have a look at that. And then you got someone like Schultze in there throwing his hat into the ring, despite not being in title contention. He can, and I'll have a chat to him about this in a moment, he can all of a sudden be one of those movers and shakers, one of those guys that can't necessarily win the thing, but can shape the way that it plays out for a few other contenders. Greg, what about? I mean, look at the variety as well. I mean, unfortunately for us, it was Ferrari 1, 3, and 4 tonight, with the Porsche at least holding up display in the form of Gary Cousins there in 2nd. 9 points the advantage from one teammate to the other. So very much up in the air and up for the taking over the next 2 weeks. Adam?
If you look at Woodsy and Gates, they've got equal points the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's extraordinary what they're doing at the moment. So, Greg, with that in mind, how important is Watkins Glen for you, mate, given that it is the last sprint round of the season?
Oh, it's definitely important now seeing the results after tonight. I mean, I knew it was going to be okay tonight after doing 5 odd hours of it around on the weekend, as mentioned previously. But yeah, I'm happy with the end result. Ferrari was quite good, turned well through the last sector, held up all right on the tyres. So looking forward to next week, very much so.
Stay there with me, mate. I'm going to give Liam Banks open slather with you three blokes in just a moment. Woodsy, come back in and have a chat with me here, please. It must be nice to be hitting your straps at this end of the season and building towards a potential championship win, mate, but it is going to be on in earnest between you and your stablemate there, Gary Cousins. Is it a little bit weird having a teammate running a completely different car to you?
It is, yes. It's going to be a good battle, but the old Bailey Ferraris did pretty well this evening. I was worried coming into the round because the car was just understeering. I wasn't feeling super comfortable in it, but I wanted a car that was going to be stable to the end, not too worried about pace. I didn't come out here, actually I was just going to get a decent result. That was my plan, and keep the car straight, but yeah, come away with the win, and it ended up quite a good race in the end. The car felt really good. I managed to save a little bit of fuel throughout the race, which I think helped in a couple of the pit stops there. Tyres were good. I did end up change for all four. I made that mistake last week and lost the win because I didn't change the tyres. I thought I'm not doing that again. So yeah, all in all, I was pretty happy with the result. But Aiden and that behind me, they still had some pace, and I was still doing calculations on the fly to go, are they going to jump me here? Are they fuel saving? And also I was trying to save as much as I could, even though I was out in front, and conserve tyres in case there was a battle. But yeah, good run in the end. I was quite happy with it. And Gazza, he just won't leave me alone. He's sitting right on my tail. So he's going to go right to the final, I think.
Indeed it is. Obviously the supercar to one side, the GT rightly should be your focus for the next couple of weeks. The Ferrari sitting there nicely for you, so Ferrari dominating both splits at the moment. And what about Fuji, the racetrack, mate? Clearly the result would show that it's one that works for you, but is it one that you actually like?
I enjoy the track. This car was a handful at first, but once I sort of got a rhythm going, it wasn't too bad. But overall, I think it's a fun track. It's an enjoyable track. It can have some good racing. Far better than last week's one. It was very processional last week, but this week was fun. I don't mind the track. I'm happy to race here, especially in higher downforce cars. It's a very fun track. And
I mentioned there earlier that you guys stopped twice throughout the course of the race. Did you still manage 36 laps, or did you only cap it at 35?
How many laps did we do? No, we did 36 laps.
36, yep. So that just goes to show, despite Dench's dominance in getting us to the line not long after the hour, that we would have been okay to get 36 if he had to have stopped a second time. And obviously 36 was the bingo number in both splits tonight. Normally, it's not uncommon for us to be one lap ahead in the pro split of where the AM split boys reach once that checkered flag drops. Woodsy, Watkins Glen followed by Mount Panorama. Challenging tracks to end the season, and Watkins Glen provided plenty of carnage last week in the Porsches. We'd be hoping, no doubt, to avoid a repeat of that if you're racing next Monday night in GT3, although it is sprint racing.
Very much so. It's Watkins is a track that always challenges me. I'm usually not too strong there, so we'll see how we go. It'd be nice to get a decent result, but again, we'll see how we go there. But yeah, Bathurst, looking forward to. Again, it's one of those races where until the checkered flag and you cross the line, you just do not know what's going to happen. So it's going to be interesting. It'd be nice to get some decent points to hold the lead there, but yeah, at this point, I'm just going to leave it open because I have no idea. And my recent weeks with the Ferrari, it's been throwing some surprises. So it's going to be interesting to see. So we'll give it a crack and see what happens.
No, mate, very nicely done. Stay there for me. If Banksy's got a question to fire at you in a moment, I'm going to let him do it. In the meantime, let's bring in Schultzy, and a few of the boys have already mentioned it. 8 hours over the weekend. You must be sick of it by now.
Well, I can't say that, mate, to be honest, because it was a bit muscle memory tonight, and it felt good. But it was, seriously though, it was a great race in the M split tonight. The boys are great. It was really, really amazing racing, and the racing at the front there with Woodsy and everything that went on, like, it was just really enjoyable. From myself personally, from a race perspective, could I have done something better? Of course you can, you always can, but it was great racing at the front.
Indeed, it looked like it and sounded like it from what we were being told by Josh Zuno. The field was pretty bunched up in the first segment, but obviously spread out towards the back end. That's just naturally the way GT racing ebbs and flows, to be fair. But a strong result for you, mate. And as I said, you can't necessarily win the championship, but you can play a role and throw a spanner in the works for a couple of key contenders here, by being a contender race by race in the last 2 rounds of the season.
Yeah, 100%, but we're not there to do that. We're just out there to have fun, and at Laguna, obviously, we put it off the pole and we got a win in the sprint race, and then on the reverse grid with Joe, we had a great race and got a podium. Tonight we got a podium, which was really good. We're not really worrying about that. There was a couple of races this season that, you know, we didn't really capitalise on our pace. I've been running baseline, and tonight I didn't, right? So I had a set up from the Fuji 8-hour, and we come third in the Fuji 8-hour. So I utilised that tonight. What I did do wrong was didn't take tyres at all. And I think, Woodsy, you can say, you know, we had a really good battle at the front. There was 3 of us when we sort of gapped Braden and Lachlan there. We were gone, and we were having a great battle. I think if I had my time again, I'd take those tyres, and it probably would have been even like closer fight at the front. But the driving standard was immaculate, and it was a great race. It was really good. Title fight wise, not really worried about it. I'm not going to get in there and get in amongst like Woodsy and them trying to fight their title fight, but at the same time I'm going to try to win a race. So, but I'll never do anything wrong to do that. But tonight, literally, was one of the best nights in the sim I've had.
And that's interesting that you make the comment about because you prided yourself on running baseline all season, but obviously with that intel from the weekend, it allowed you to zag instead of zig for a change.
Yeah, it did. I think, like, we've also made some changes within our team, and we announced it on Facebook. Like, we've brought Alex Court into our into our team, and he was in comms with me all night tonight and was doing all my pit strategy and all that type of stuff. On hindsight, we should have taken tyres. If we did, we probably would have been up there to be able to fight for the win. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. But just the quality of racing tonight was amazing. Like, it was really, really good. I don't know what happened in the back, but at the front, and Woodsy, you'd have to second this, mate. Like, it was really, really good racing.
Yeah, it was a good race. It was a good battle one, and strategy the whole time. You were trying to pick and guess what was going on because everyone appeared to be doing different things. So it was a race all the way to the end. Even though I had a bit of a gap, I'm sitting there, I'm going, right, what, have I made a mistake here? I'm doing calculations. Have I got this right? Have I got this right? And yeah, it was right to the end, which is good battle. That's what you want to have.
Yeah, exactly. And it was gentleman racing, and that's what it was about. So, but from a team perspective, I'm really excited to have Cordy on board. That's really good. And tonight to have him in the comms, and Cordy's a really, really good sim racer, and to have him up there and chat to me through that. Like, it's the first time I've actually run a league race where I've had a setup to be able to do something about it. I didn't actually utilise it, but to come home third, man, like, I'm happy with that. That's awesome.
Indeed, it is. Hey, Schultzy, I mean, we can talk about Alex Court. Great to see him back in the sim in some capacity, and great to see him back in a team environment as well. I know he's been down there he's down in the Upper Isle, and if I ever get down there for a motor racing commitment, I'll have to make sure I catch up with him. He's part of, I think once upon a time, he may still be part of the framework with the team at Racing with Autism Australia as well. So opportune moment to give them a shout out for everything that they do for people with disabilities that invite them in and open the door to bring them into the world of motorsport and give them that opportunity. So well done to them. Great to have him as part of the ever-expanding team. And that's a good thing about sim racing teams, isn't it, mate? Two comments from you here. Firstly, one, the bigger the better. You can have as many people in your team as you like. And two, what are your thoughts on Watkins Glen next week, please?
Well, if I comment on the first part, mate, like what we do with Quantum Motorsports, and we support the Golden Octopus Foundation. I've got to have a big shout out to them. We support children with childhood cancer. Like that is a big part about what we do in our community. We want like-minded people to race with us, and it's not about how fast you are. It's not about how good you are. It's not about anything like. It's about enjoying your sim racing. Like we're middle-aged geriatrics, right? So we just sit there and we have some fun. And Cordy reached out, and I did my podcast back in the day, and I've done, like, you've spoken to me for years, mate. So
yep.
He was reaching out, and he wanted somewhere to come and race, and we're like, mate, you don't need to ask. Like, just come and race and have some fun, and that's what we're about, and that's what we're about in our sim racing, mate. It's an inclusive environment, and we love that. And when you have that atmosphere, that's when you have good races and you have good results. So, but it's not about results for us. It's about an inclusive environment and allowing everyone to jump into that network and anyone that wants to and try and learn something and maybe get a setup or two, or maybe learn something more to be able to increase their experience within the sim racing world. So we're definitely not at the level of the pro guys, and we're definitely nowhere near that, but we're happy where we are. And the fact that I'm fighting for a podium in the pro at the moment, I'm definitely a lot quicker, but the fact that we're doing that is a good thing, and we'll continue to create awareness for that and continue to help the club.
All right, very nicely done. And your thoughts on Watkins Glen, please?
Watkins Glen, well, my NASCAR background, so
yes.
If I can keep out of trouble in the first 3 laps, maybe I'll do okay. But yeah, I don't know. We'll be quick there, I'd suggest, but it's just about keeping out of trouble. I think it was resonated earlier on by, I think it might have been Ads or someone was talking, or Adam. If you can keep out of trouble, it's a tricky track. If you can keep out of trouble and sort of make your way forward, you'll be all right. But it's a sprint round, different to what we saw tonight, so totally different style of racing. So, yeah, hopefully we can be there or thereabouts. I think qualifying will be very relevant there. I don't know how to say that word, but if you can qualify at the front and sort of race at the front, you'll be all right. But, yeah, don't know. We'll see how we go. As I said, I'm not going to be there to try and wreck Paul's race or his championship or any of the guys in front of me. I just want to accumulate some points and see where I end up at the end.
All right, mate, very nicely done. I think your point about Watkins, so very valid, especially up through the roller coaster S-Spend section of the circuit on the opening couple of laps. Banksy, anything for Paul Wood, Greg Heaney or Aidan Schultz before we contemplate putting a full stop on this?
Just the one question, mostly for Paul Wood and Greg Heaney. Heaney with an outside shot of the championship and Paul Wood leading the championship. What would the championship mean to you? And if you were to win it, would you want to stay in the AM split or would you want to go up to the pro split?
You want to go first, Aidan? Or Greg?
I'll go.
I wasn't referenced into that, so... yeah.
Sorry, Greg.
I like it, Rodder.
I'd be... If I won it, I'd probably be more ecstatic than I could probably describe right now. I have been running in the AM split for a little bit. I know it was Pro Am at one stage, and then it got split to Pro and Am. Look, if I win, I win. I'd be happy. Onwards and upwards, I say. I mean, at some point, I'm improving, and at some point, I'm probably going to get shifted to the Pro split. Whether or not I can actually compete with the top half of that grid, time will tell. But yeah, we'll see.
All right, very nicely done. Woodsy?
I was going to say, for me, it would be good. It would be a good top off for this year, for the year I've had and that sort of stuff. And coming back from the surgery and that would be great. It's been a while since I've had a championship or anything like that, or even been in the running. I think over 12 months now. So, yes, I would be happy. Going back into the Pro split, I've been there before. I'm not the fastest on track. The only thing probably going my way is consistency, but the pace up on that level at the moment, I think, is even beyond my level of consistency. So I'm enjoying the racing down here. These are the guys probably my same pace, so we get some really good battles on there. So again, I'll leave it to fate, see what happens, and I'll be happy if we get there and see where next season takes us. But as usual, if I'm in the top split, I'll just see what I can do and see if I can charge up through the field as best I can each week.
Very nicely done. Gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate your time and effort as always, and appreciate you stopping by and sticking back as long as you have post-race tonight. All the best for the rest of the week. Schultzy, good luck with the broadcast on Wednesday night. Of course, the Radicals, the Downforce Legends, into GT4. And good luck next Monday night at Watkins Glen, boys. We'll be watching race 1 for the AM split in our coverage. Go well.
Thanks, guys.
No worries, mate.
No worries. Cheers. Thanks very much.
Thanks for putting it on, and we'll be there to. I'll be back on board with Daniel.
Yes.
This week, I had a couple of weeks of hiatus just for a couple of stuff happening in my personal life. So, looking forward to get back in there and being able to bring that to the viewers. So, yeah, it was a good night tonight, and thank you boys for bringing all the coverage.
And on the subject, I know you had personal circumstances going on, but I was really glad my phone didn't ring last Wednesday night because I was absolutely shagged after the drive back from Cessnock to 1911 Ipswich. Go well, guys. Thank you. Let's get a final thought from Liam Banks. Hard to go past Matty Dench for driver of the night again. Greg Favell as well in Super 2. Those guys are at the top of their game, the peak of their powers at the moment.
Yeah, they're absolutely killing it, aren't they? They're both laying down a marker, both strong favourites for the title. I strongly suspect Dench actually already has the title wrapped up. Whether you take into account drop rounds and all the weird mathematics that goes on there with the points that are actually on offer, etc, etc, etc. But regardless of that, they've both been absolutely stellar and both proven why they are top of the championship tonight. Tricky races for both, particularly with this being a circuit no Dench doesn't like, and he still finished over half a minute up from the rest of the field.
And he won the round by 1 point tonight, one solitary point. He leads the championship by 63. 416 plays 353 for Simon Cox. Jared Knight has now wedged himself into that Ferrari trio. He is third by 1 point. 289 plays 288 for Wayne Hewitt. 269 for Nick Wood. Good result for him tonight. Sam Chapman and the absent Richard Mitchum are locked on 240 points apiece, and then it's a gap back to Thomas Martin on 192, 181 for Matt Distill and 148 for Daniel Hill. So we're very much well and truly aware of who our contenders and our pretenders are at this point. Right, let's have a quick moment before we go to plug the great people that support everything that we do and how we do it and why we do it, and it wouldn't be possible without them. They include Waste Options, Orbic Australia, and also the team from Sprite and Cider. Got to get onto that at some point. Pure Tasmanian. Login Systems. The great people at Player One Sim Gear. Nice to have them back on board. A returning sponsor of the club. Leipzig Racing as well. Good on you, Trent. And, of course, M-Wave. And also the great team at Flash Graphics. Jared Knight. No idea how I'm... Nighty. Enjoy it. Embrace it. Just savour it. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. The rest of week 8 for you looks like this. Tomorrow night, the Leipzig Racing Up and Comer Series, the Mazda MX-5s from Tsukuba, and that's getting underway 7:55 Eastern Daylight Time, Super Sprint format. for those guys. Followed by, from the New Hampshire road course, the first 2 visits there this week for, first up, the GT1 Civil War Tuesday night, 9:40 Eastern Daylight Time. And first up on the broadcast on Wednesday night for the Downforce Legends, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. The second leg of that Wednesday night, midweek hump day doubleheader in week 8 takes us to Circuit Park Zandvoort for 40 minutes of GT4 entertainment. And the racing there has been top shelf throughout the course of this season. We expected it would be in its promotion to prime time status in the main course slot. So looking forward to more of that from Zandvoort on Wednesday night. Thursday night, I'm pumped and excited for this. Have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve first up for the main course on a Thursday night. 3 legs of Formula V for you, races 22, 3 and 4 of the campaign. Then on to Fuji International Speedway for another dose of 60 minutes of sports car racing, this time in the form of Porsche Cup. And we'll have the Pro and the Elite and the Open split, rather, in the same server as we have for the last couple of seasons now. That is coming up Thursday night. The broadcast from 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. The main course is, of course, Formula V, so that makes dessert the Porsches for Sprate and Cider. That is 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Friday night, those open wheelers are back in action with a trip to, as Nick Fodiato said a few moments ago when we spoke to him at the end of the GT4 race. Oh, Christ, that was 2 hours ago now. At the end of the supercar race, I should say, before GT3, it was Texas Motor Speedway is the next stop for the Indies. And that's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Friday night. Saturday night, we're in the GT3s this week, so we're in very familiar territory, and it's a nice little warm-up for week 10 for our regulars on a Monday night. The GT3s head to Mount Panorama Ballast for the mountain men, 32 laps, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then next Monday night, we get the penultimate week of the year underway, if you could bloody well believe that. Yes, week 39 of 40 on broadcast, and week 9 of Term 4 gets underway with a trip to Sandown for the Super 2s and Play 1 Sim Gear Super 2, and that's from 7:50 Australian Eastern Daylight Time, followed by the penultimate round of the final sprint round of the GT3 series with thanks to Waste Options. Am Split first up, 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Race 1 of their campaign, round 9, race 2 for GT3 Pro, will follow at the conclusion of the opening Am race. So a lot to look forward to on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube as the rest of week 8 and the start of week 9 unfolds. GSRC.myshopify.com or merch.tgsrci.com. They'll take you to the same place, ladies and gentlemen. Get amongst that. John Simpson's legacy as the outgoing president of the club. Now, of course, Joe Baldwin has the reins, is the merch that is still available for purchase, and not too late to organise Christmas presents, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't get enough GT3 racing this week, through the form of Mountain Men, and then next Monday night, come and join us on Sunday, the 26th of November, the eve of Grand Final week, for round 4, the penultimate one of the campaign for the GSRC Endurance Championship, with thanks to Login Systems, the Le Mans Hypercars and GT3 rocking and rolling for 4 hours around the Nürburgring, the Grand Prix configuration, not the Nordschleife. Make a note of that. That's it from us. We're done. It's a big Monday night. It's the start of another big week. Don't forget, if you are near a radio over the course of the weekend and you've got nothing better to do, a full replay of the Hyundai XL Nationals coming away from Western Australia, 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday and Sunday on West Bromma Sport. You can download the West Bromma Sport app, or West Bromma Radio app, and tune into West Bromma Sport via that app from your preferred app store. And I'd greatly appreciate some people tuning into that, because a lot of work's gone into the broadcast of it, not least, of course, the 8,000 kilometres of round travel to do it. I hope you enjoyed Monday Night Motorsport. Night 1 of week 8 in Term 4 is done and dusted. We're edging closer to crowning champions and putting a full stop on the calendar year of 2023. Dench dominant in Japan. Not a circuit that he likes, but the way he went about it would suggest that he's slowly but surely getting a grip of it. A 34-second win tonight, and he did it on 1 stop. The rest of the field had to have 2 bites at the cherry, 2 transits of pit lane. Dench got it done, as only Dench can, in 1. On behalf of Liam Banks, Adam Lavis, the rest of the GSRC broadcast, commentary and production team here, I'm Zach Cabin. Until Schultze and Daniel pick it up for you Wednesday night with the Radicals and GT4, it's bye for now.